And we are live. Greetings, greetings, greetings. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, sorry guys. We had to get ready, but we are here and a good show absolutely coming your way. How are you guys doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, so as promised, I said we're going to have a special guest. And yes, we do have a special guest. I don't know if she's a special guest anymore. She's been here so many times. Okay. So here she is. Welcome,
I am
welcome,
no
welcome.
longer a guest. I could
You're
go
no
right in
longer
the
a
refrigerator.
guest, right? Like, yeah,
I
a
could go
frequent
right into the
flyer.
refrigerator if I want. Boom, boom, boom.
Yes, you're no longer a guest. Like, the guest privileges don't apply to you anymore. They no longer apply to you anymore. All right,
Funny.
introduce yourself, okay? For people who might not know you, go ahead.
Sure, of course. Hey guys, this is Verite Efu from Truth and Fire, the podcast and the blog, which right now they're not defunct. I've just been busy. So yeah. So hopefully we can catch up tonight.
We're watching. All right, guys. So today, we're going to get right into it. Okay, we're gonna play some clips and we'll make a commentary along the way. Okay, so obviously we have right here Lady Candice. Okay, Lady Candice, aka Mrs. Farmer. Okay, I don't know why she doesn't use her name. Candice Farmer.
She already made a
Candice
brand,
Owens.
She made
Yeah,
it
yeah. I guess no, it's fine. It's fine. Everybody knows her as Candice Owens. But she knows she's Mrs. Farmer. But be that as it may, okay. So I mean, I've done a couple of videos of Candice Owens, but trust and believe, there's so much
Okay.
stuff that's coming out there. So she's on vacation right now, but of course she's been tweeting wherever she's at. So we can't wait when she comes back.
Okay.
We cannot wait when she comes back. So I don't even know where to start. So where are we going with this? Okay, we know that Candice publicly came out to say that she is investigating. She wants to find out who killed her best friend Charlie Kirk.
Mhm.
So she has put out a bunch of evidences according to her. Okay, you ask me, I'm like, okay, this is just conspiracy theory. This way, that way, and this way. You know what I mean? I'm calling it a rabbit hole. So it doesn't
Right.
stop. Along the way, she has not missed by accusing other people for directly pretty much killing Charlie Kirk. Okay, so
Mhm.
she's said these other things. And even when she's been corrected, you think Candice Owen is coming back, correcting the record. No, she's just pressing in. So one of the gentlemen that he ended up doing this is Josh Hammer over there. I think now he's thinking about, suing Candice Owen. We'll see how that's going to work. Yes. So he actually had a very good interview. So we're gonna play some of the clips over here, and then we'll be stopping it along the way. Okay. Why has this gentleman been accused? He tweeted Donald Trump about execution. Okay. And it happened, this was on September 9th.
Mm.
And Charlie Kirk died on September 10th.
Mhm.
So why would he be caught tweeting Trump about execution on the 9th and Charlie Kirk died on the 10th? So Candice concluded that Josh Hammer had something to do with this. I'm laughing, but it's not a laughing matter. Okay, so let's play a little bit clip and then we'll make commentary along the way. Do you have something to say before we go? Before we play the
No,
clip?
look, I'm getting caught up. Let's play it.
Okay, all right, fine. Here we go. Oh man, it is well. Okay, here's Josh Hammer.
Did you know your friend was going to be shot on the 10th? No, I mean, Joe, I started
But
crying.
you see, she's alleging that. She's alleging it. I mean, she's literally saying he must have known something. Look what he posted. What do you say to that? What was the impetus to have the group chat? What was he hoping to get out of talking to you and Andrew and the others that were on it? And when he said that he was just about done with the Israel narrative, what did that mean? Did you know her? Were you friends with her? Did you work together when she was at TPUSA? Do you have a relationship before all this happened? Do you really believe it's because you're Jewish? Is that really what it is?
That is 1,000% the answer, Joe, is because Candace Owens and her followers can't stand the fact that Charlie Kirk was a man of his word.
This is Unshaken and Unafraid with Joe Pags.
How did it go?
This guy's been thrust into the spotlight by somebody who might have used to been a friend or somebody that I'm sure knew at some point, and I didn't get it because I know Josh Hammer. I've had him on the show a couple of times. I'm getting to know him better all the time, and he just doesn't come off as somebody that I would call filth or subhuman. It is Josh Hammer. Josh, I'm glad that you joined me today. What's going on, man?
Joe, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of the world is seeing, and it's been pretty crazy, but it's always great to stop by and chat with you about it.
As we now just recognize 1 month since Charlie Kirk was publicly executed, it's been a month that I thought that we would see TPUSA become the revolution that he wanted it to be, from a movement to a revolution. I thought that people would rally around him, rally around the group, rally around Erika and friends of his like you, like Andrew, like Mikey. But instead, we're seeing a division where people are getting millions of clicks. And I'm talking specifically about Candace Owens. She has said some things about Charlie, about the organization, and about you specifically that are just downright sick. I just want to take it from this. I'm going to ask you very specific questions in a minute. But just give me the overview of when you found out that you were the target of her attacks and what went through your mind immediately.
Right. So, Joe, Candace Owens and Nick Fuentes and people like that have been calling my name out with increased frequency. And I mean, part of that just comes with the territory, right? I mean, the anti-Semitic mind virus is so crazy right now. It is so crazy in American political discourse more generally that if you are like myself, if you wear a kippah, if you are an observant Jew, a publicly identifiable Jew, if you write and talk about Jewish issues, I mean, Joe, in previous conversations.
Okay, I have to stop it. You know how YouTube does. So this is Josh Hammer, explaining the background, how we are talking about this in the first place. Okay, so let's continue.
We've talked about legal stuff, the courts. I talk about all the issues. I mean, I know a thing or two about the law. I know a thing or two about immigration, economic policy, whatever. I do all the issues. But among the things I talk about are Jewish issues. I wrote a whole book on it. Israel and Civilization was a book that came out in March.
Right.
So to an extent, when you have all that going on, you accept that there are going to be people dragging your name through the mud. And Joe, I have a sneaking suspicion that you will relate to what I'm going to say. I think very often to this amazing scene in The Godfather Part 2, my favorite film of all time.
Right.
You have Hyman Roth, the character played by Lee Strasberg, there with Michael Corleone, Al Pacino, and Hyman Roth says to Michael Corleone, he says, "This is the business that we have chosen." As if to say, there are consequences. So look. I used to work at a corporate law firm. I used to do contract law. When I left all that to enter the public sphere, I knew what I was signing up for. I knew that when you put your ideas out there, you're going to get pushback. What I did not necessarily expect is to be accused of, in not so subtle fashion, of being complicit in some way or another of my own friend's assassination. That is something that I definitely did not expect. And this is all going down, Joe, this past Monday. So this past Monday was the beginning of a 7-day holiday in the Jewish calendar known as Sukkot. Many Christians know it as the Feast of Booths or the Feast of Tabernacles. Right. And, Orthodox Jews like me, we go literally dark for Jewish holidays. Like no phone, no computer, no phone, no light switch, no nothing. Yeah. So all this was breaking this past Monday evening at around 6 p.m. East Coast time, give or take. Literally 15, 20 minutes before I dropped everything to go to synagogue that evening. And that was when I saw that Candace Owens had acquired this screenshot from this WhatsApp chat that I was in with Charlie Kirk and a handful of others. And it was already starting to get in my Twitter mentions some nasty stuff. And then I think it was a day or two after that, at some point over the holiday when I was offline, someone at synagogue said to me, Candace is saying some really crazy stuff about you. So then I turned my phone back on this Wednesday evening, and it's a veritable poop storm, I guess, for lack of a better description.
No, it is. It's Josh Hammer, the host of the Josh Hammer Show. Go and check it out everywhere you get your podcasts. Also, article3project.org. So let's get into some of the specifics that we know from which he's been saying. Before I do that, let me just in a very general sense set the scene. Did you know her? Were you friends with her? Did you work together when she was at TPUSA? Do you have a relationship before all this happened?
I do not. I actually have never met Candace Owens in person, to my knowledge, which is kind of surprising because we've been in a lot of similar circles over the years. She's a former Daily Wire employee. I'm a former Daily Wire employee. We've run in a lot of similar circles, but I don't believe I've actually ever met Candace Owens. Now, I will say, Joe, when Candace Owens started going down the path that she's been on for some years now, this all happened around September, October 2022, 3 years ago, when she.
Okay. Yeah, I know. Like he's very long-winded. Okay. Yeah. So what obviously it's an interview there where he's going to I forgot the gentleman's name. So I want to show you guys how all this started, right? The actual tweet that started all this. according to Candace Owens. Okay, so bear with me, guys. Okay, because I have. Oh, hopefully, I don't know. Will you be able to see?
Yeah,
Man.
we can see it. Looks like we can
Oh,
see
you
it.
can
I
see?
see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is, I don't know if this is what started all this thing as far as how Josh has found himself in the crosshairs of Candace Owens, okay? Despite him tweeting about the execution. In fact, the execution, what he was tweeting, it was something to do with Ayana Zarusa, the young girl who was killed in the bus from Ukraine.
On the train. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, on the train. So when that happened, people were tweeting, okay, bring back execution. And this thing went viral. Okay, it went viral. So that's actually true. So prior to that, Charlie Kirk was in a private conversation. Okay, and this was this guy, Josh Hammer, was also in this conversation. Okay. I can't even see whatever. I'll read it to you, but I was just trying to bring you guys so you know exactly what happened. Okay. So 2 things there. This Josh Hammer happens to be on this group chat. Okay. So this group chat, this is Charlie Kirk being frustrated with his Jewish donors. And then he put out there that he can no longer support the pro-Israel. He's going to abandon the pro-Israel. Okay. And Josh Hammer was also on this tweet. So then we know Candace Owens just like, okay, so you are on this tweet, then you are tweeting about execution. You know what? You are a suspect in this situation. Okay.
Why are you saying like
So I know, you know what I mean? That's how Josh Hammer has found himself connected at the eye of who? Of Candace Owens. So now, it was so damaging because he wasn't around. So it's like, by the time he was coming back to correct the record, truth had already left. Okay. So I'm seeing Josh is making rounds, I guess, to correct the record. Because to be honest, with somebody who thinks about conspiracy, how is it that you're tweeting about execution on the 9th, and then your friend happens to die on the 10th? So yeah, in the mind of somebody who thinks like that, I think they have a leg to stand on, so to speak. But what say you?
Every time I like to entertain Candace for entertainment purposes. I will say this whole thing with Charlie Kirk, I mean, first of all, it was very sad hearing about
Yes.
it. I know I cried. I actually cried the following day because the first day I think I was in so much shock. But the following day, I shed a few tears because I was like, first of all, it was unexpected. And second, just, watching the public's reaction and how it was quickly turning into something very vile and negative. So, as someone who didn't know the man, and, I'm not going to lie, had some things that I saw that he said, wasn't very familiar with, his rhetoric prior to his passing. I didn't follow him that closely, but going back, I'm like, there's some things I really didn't agree with. However, with that being said, even as I don't know the man or didn't know the man, something pricked at my heart. So I could imagine being his friend, being as close as she was to him, how that could be affecting her. And this could be a way that she's grieving, though I don't think that it is the most God glorifying way to do it. And the way she's putting out these little breadcrumbs, if you will, of evidence, it's more so looking like judging by, if you will, appearance and not with righteous judgment. And I would think that as a Christian, because the things I have seen from her in covering this whole thing has been, I am a Christian, I am standing for truth, I am this. So of course, because, he was her friend, or from for all intents and purposes, from what she's presented to us, they were very close, even up until the point of his passing, that I can imagine that can send someone to a place of, I don't want to say the word psychosis. I mean, I said it, but I don't want to accuse her of something from a mental instability standpoint, but I do think emotionally she is working through a lot. But bringing all these different people in, I don't know who these people are, but just the little evidence, like you said, the tweet, and then the his being part of the chat, that that's what's it called, circumstantial, if you will. It's not even
Yeah.
circumstantial. It's not even that. It's just, I don't know. I think she's just from what I've seen, she's reaching. And
Well,
I actually have not watched her content in a few days because I was getting a little
oh,
exhausted with trying to follow all the, like, the little meme with the guy from, I forget the name of the show, but the guy had like crazy hair and he was putting all the clues together and he has
yes,
all
I
the
know.
like
Yeah.
that's how my brain was going watching her cover this. I was like, I
You
need
know,
a
someone
break.
actually made a meme, but it has Candice on it. Instead of the guy,
Yes.
it has Candice.
Oh, they do. Oh, yeah, because I have not, like, ever since she did the episode where she revealed the chat, and
Yeah.
just seeing the fallout from that, I haven't really watched anything else because I'm just like, I'm exhausted. I am too exhausted.
Okay.
And I don't know that it proves anything other than with her saying that he was feeling a certain way about, Israel or bringing her back or whatever the case may be. It supports that, but that does not support her claim of these people having something to do with his passing. So I think she's doing way too much with that.
Yes. So yes, correct. Yeah, that's exactly where the stuff is. So I mean, oh my gosh, we're gonna look like we're crazy. Okay. So here is, because these are different days, different situations. Okay. So here is shout out to What You Mean. Okay. He just compiled all this. So let's watch all this so it will actually make sense where Candice is going, where she's coming from. Okay. So shout out to What You Mean. All right, here we go, guys.
Damning proof of a cover-up, then you can at least understand why she felt the need to expose it right away. So what was this evidence that made it so urgent for her to bring this forth at this time? Well, Candace's first major claim came just 2 days after the assassination, after Bibi Netanyahu said this on Fox News.
Charlie loved Israel. He loved the Jewish people. He told me so in a letter that he sent me just a few months ago. One of my greatest joys as a Christian, he said, is advocating for Israel and forming alliances with Jews to protect Judeo-Christian civilization.
In response to this, Candace said that Netanyahu severely misrepresented the contents, that he was lying about it, demanding that he publish the entire letter and let the world read Charlie in his own words.
I know for a fact that he is misrepresenting some things that happened there towards the end. But I am calling upon Bibi Netanyahu, the dear friend to Charlie Kirk, to publish the letter's entire contents. Like, don't start with just 2 sentences. Publish the entire thing. You're holding it. I'm saying you're severely misrepresenting the contents.
And just days later, Charlie's organization, TPUSA, released the letter. The full letter showed Charlie describing his passion for the Holy Land, how Israel was losing the social media battle, which would result in less military support from America, and Charlie's desire to help. Now, to be fair, Charlie did express some frustrations toward Israel in the last few months. But the letter itself doesn't match her claim that Netanyahu severely misrepresented its contents. In fact, what Netanyahu said came from the very first sentence of the letter. But just a few days later, she went even further. She claimed that billionaire Bill Ackman staged an intervention for Charlie in the Hamptons, insinuating that he threatened Charlie, offered him money, and pressured him to change his views on Israel.
An intervention was staged by Bill Ackman because Charlie's rational thoughts about Israel were a no-no. Bill Ackman was very upset, and threats were made.
Now, this would be explosive if true.
Okay, so all right, hold your fire, hold your beer right now, okay? So yes, I know. So now, so far, right, you've heard what Candice said, right? And this is what Candice put out, okay? Bibi, Bibi is the prime minister, short form, is the prime minister of Israel, right? Lied about the contents of the letter. Charlie wrote to him in May. It was a lie by severe omission, and it isn't sitting right with me. He held the letter in his hand and propagandized it. He should publish the entire thing. Okay? So this is what it says. Right? This is Candice demanding that the prime minister publish the entire thing. Yes, and lo and behold, the entire thing was published on New York Post, and it's publicly available. It's 7 pages. And do you think that Candice Owens came back to issue a retraction? No, she did not. As far as the letter is concerned, yeah, the letter was... So I'm telling you, like, it's almost, okay, you said this is what happened to the letter, right? And she's serious about it. But now when the letter came out, it does not match what Candace Owens is saying. Okay, so all that is stemming from Candace Owens. It's from this tweet right here, the one that I had shown you guys earlier. Okay, this is what Charlie said over here, right? Just lost another huge Jewish donor, 2 million a year because we won't cancel Tucker. I'm thinking of inviting Candace. And then Charlie responded over here, Jewish donors play into the stereotypes. I cannot and will not be bullied like this, leaving me no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause. And then somebody responded, please don't invite Candace. That might feel good short term, but it's not good. It's not good long term, in my opinion. Like all groups, you are going to get a wide variety of opinions. That nasty free will thing that God bestowed on us makes life frustrating at times. So this, what I just read you here, this is where, as up to now, this is the smoking gun that Candace Owens has produced. Right. Okay, and this tweet, whatever this information is actually correct information, it's true. So based upon this information, the information just says, I'm thinking of inviting Candace Owens. But right. Candace Owens has run out saying Charlie was going to have a reunion with Candace Owens on stage. Okay, that's what she's been saying. But this, Charlie just is thinking. So this is why she's been pushing like, okay, Charlie Kirk was going to leave the pro-Israel and the pro-Israel. And the letter came out, supported what Bibi was saying, no Candace Owens was saying. Okay, so go ahead.
When I heard her release, when she talked about the not Telegram, is it a Telegram chat? I'm getting all the groups confused. I know there's a recent one that just came out.
I think this,
but whatever the chat. So when she released this, and when he said, I'm thinking of bringing Candace back, when he said it right after speaking about losing the Jewish donors because he won't part ways basically or because he brought Tucker out, I thought it sounded more like if someone, okay, how do I
a shade, like he's just throwing a shade.
Yeah. Like I felt it came across more like, oh, you don't want me to do this? I should do this then,
Yeah.
But not really, like you accuse me of cheating, I might as well. You accuse me of, I'm gonna cheat and I'm gonna have a kid on, that's what it kind of came across to me. I didn't take it as a literal, like I'm bringing Candace back, but she knows her friend better than I do. But that's how I heard it. That when she read it, I was like, huh. But yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what happened to the Brigitte Macron situation. Like I was like, maybe I missed it. It was like here today, gone today. I was like, what happened to that? I remember I tried to watch that 8-part series. I got halfway through the first part. I couldn't do it. I can't do it. But yeah, so it's like that was going on, and I heard about the lawsuit, or she asked them to, or she what did she do? Something happened where she asked them to dismiss the lawsuit or something.
Yes,
something happened, and then the whole Charlie Kirk thing happened. I mean, this is my memory. I'm not saying this is actually how it happened, but it just 1 second she was talking about Brigitte, and then things were falling apart over there, and then unfortunately her friend passes, and then she's on that, and that's where the content has been for the last month at this point. So I was just wondering, like, is it just she's chasing one conspiracy after the next? Like, what is going on? It's getting pretty wild. I know, like, the only reason I've been pretty quiet about a lot of this is because I'm like, maybe I'm missing something, because I kind of come in and then I leave and I go, but I'm like, maybe I don't have all the receipts and the information, but this is just sounding like, I don't know, not a woman scorned, not like that, because I did hear some in Black TikTok, I guess, there, or Black women TikTok. There were like accusations like, well, was she the side chick? I'm not saying that that's, I don't want to, but they were saying the way she was, expressing her grief. But I vaguely recall, that they had some kind of issue at some point, like that they did part ways. So I was shocked to hear that, we've never had an issue. We've never, had a disagreement. We've been friends. We've been cool the whole time. And I was talking to him about Catholicism and Israel and whatnot. But I could have sworn maybe about 3 years ago that they had some kind of falling out. So I thought, I didn't think that they were as close as she's saying that they are. But in either case, you know, like again, she knows that man way more than I do, or knew him. And so I can't speak to that, but I just think that the level of, because everyone grieves differently, I get that. But the level of I don't want to say audacity that she has with calling people's names and accusing either Israel as the government of Israel, or some rogue people from Israel, that like whoever she's accusing, I just feel like it is not Christ-like at all. And even if she had a point, even if she was onto something, as a Christian, for me, okay, so then what? So what's the end goal? Like, as a Christian, knowing that our number one thing is to, to make disciples, to share Christ, make disciples. What is she going to do with this information? So the FBI comes out, and I don't know. I'm so confused by this whole thing. It's just a lot. To me, it's confusing because to me it's very simple, but the fanfare around it is blown into something that I just feel like it doesn't have to be. I just feel like she's a woman who's grieving, and she is judging by appearances. And even with that, she's judging by like little crumbs of an appearance. Like, someone said, "Oh my gosh, I stubbed my toe." Stub. See, notice when the shot was heard, it was a stub. I mean, she's like coming up, and this is whole, she's clinging on to a word or a phrase or something and running with it. And it's crazy. But I really want to read this whole letter. I didn't know that the full letter had been released. When was that?
Yeah.
Was that like in the last couple of days?
Yeah. Well, I think,
Yeah.
it's been, the letter is out there. Yes, for
Yeah.
sure.
Like I
Yes,
said,
it's a page letter.
I went off grid since whenever the episode when she released the chat, I was just like, because it's like,
Yes.
oh, the bombshell. I'm like, this still doesn't say anything. I mean, it's supporting her, some of the things, or it could support some of the things she's saying. And then here's another thing. If someone gives you some information and you, I don't know, don't mind me, I'm looking at a bottle of what is this stuff called? Hand sanitizer right now. Don't mind me. So someone gives you a bottle of hand sanitizer, and they go, and you get on your podcast and go, I can guarantee you that the hand sanitizer in her office was not by Johnson & Johnson. And it's this whole thing. Everyone, this whole thing blows up. And then all of a sudden someone releases evidence that it was by Purell. And it's like, I told you it wasn't by Johnson & Johnson. Oh yeah, it was by Purell. Oh, and so one person's doing a video, this other I've seen so many people do reaction videos to the fact that she dropped this thing, but it's like, it still doesn't, like, if you're trying to prove that the bottle of hand sanitizer will tell you who murdered me, this is not. Girl, you got some little obscure little fact out of a whole mountain of of a situation, and you may have known that of its existence. You've been in my office before, so you know it's Purell hand sanitizer in my office. But at the same time, it's like, and I don't know. I don't know how to articulate what I'm trying to say, but it just feels like,
I get it. No, I get what you're saying.
Obscure. And because she's right about that, it's kind. You know what? That's what Satan does. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Where he takes a little bit of truth, and then or maybe a lot of truth, and then adds in a little lie, and it's just kind of like, see, everybody just kind of runs with it. So that's what it feels like. So now that she's made this breadcrumb make sense, or seemingly so makes sense, then everyone feels like the whole loaf of bread is what she said it was.
Yes.
Pumpernickel. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. So
I'm tired. Don't mind me.
I know. No, you actually brought up a very good point. Okay. When I read the chat that was made public, right? The one I just read it to you, I was so stunned with a whole bunch of people saying that she has produced the receipts, okay? Saying that she has produced receipts. Oh, that she was right. I'm sitting there. I'm like, guys, you are just missing the point. The text message has got nothing to do with what she's saying.
Right.
This is just a shiny object because this text message has been affirmed Like, where in that text message does it say Charlie is going to have a reunion with Candace Owens on stage? Okay? It doesn't say that. Not only that, they used to be cool back in the day. That's not in dispute, right? But over the years, they were not. Like, last time she did speak at one of Turning Point in 2024. Okay? They were not enemies, but they were not the BFFs as what she has presented. Okay? Because we know, okay, if your best friend died, you're going to show up at the funeral. If your best friend died, you're going to show up at the memorial, which she was nowhere to be found. And if your best friend is having this turning against Israel, he told you that he's going to Catholic Mass. He told you that he's going to all these other things. So he can tell you about his spiritual things, but he's not going to tell you that he's leaving Israel. And yet he knows you being the BFF, you're the one who left Israel. You see what I'm saying? So, and she didn't even follow, she didn't follow Charlie Kirk on social media. She started following him 2 days after. So if this is your BFF, how come, why are you following now? He's gone. You were not following him when he was alive, And then when they show the pictures at the memorial, not even a single picture of Candace Owens and Charlie Kirk. All the pictures you see, Charlie and Candace, they are older pictures, not the recent ones. Yeah,
I know. I'm telling you, I know. I heard something some years ago that they had a falling out, and so I don't know. So we never.
Yeah,
I was
so
like,
the math ain't my thing.
the math.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. So
my friend, like, I mean, this is very much giving that whole situation with Bethel some years ago. I know Bethel's like, what we got to do with it? A lot. But maybe like 4 or 5 years ago when the little baby died, baby Olive.
Oh yeah.
One of the couples,
Olive.
and they were trying to say that the baby would be resurrected, and then like for like about a week, the whole world was like praying for this baby to be resurrected, like in the here and now, and not like when Christ returns kind of situation. And I'm online like, this is not going to happen. And I remember when it didn't happen, somebody came back to me on Twitter like, how did you know? And I'm like, people are, it's giving that to me in the sense that, I don't know. The mother of the baby was grieving, and she was grieving in such a way that it caused her to just put out some of the most insane claims. And she probably wholeheartedly believed them. You know what I mean? And I'm not the one to I'm really not trying to make Candace Owens out to sound like a crazy person. I'm not trying to do that. But the only conclusion that I can come to with how hard she's going for this, and it's one of two things in my opinion. Let me be clear. In my opinion, it's either, a grift, which I hope is not, or it is her way of grieving that is causing her to just go bat out of head crazy with this whole situation. People have had their theories about why his wife is or isn't grieving the way they feel like she should be, or whatever the case may be. And I just kind of feel like that's none of our business. And even if we do have thoughts about it, what benefit does it give society for us to chat about it online? Or I don't know. I just feel like as believers, I'm thinking about believers. The world's going to whirl, but as Christians, and I think for a lot of us, and I know I have a lot of friends who love Candace Owens, a lot of believing friends who love Candace Owens. And if you criticize her in the least, it's a fight. So I just pray that as believers, because I have been seeing some things floating around about how she's creeping Catholicism in there, how she's kind of trying to, if people, when you look at the comments, people go, oh, protect her at all costs, and she's our queen, and or whatever the case may be. And I trust Candace Owens over whomever other person. If she can get enough people to follow her down this crazy road, I can see her kind of now introducing the whole Catholicism thing, and people starting to get into that for the ornateness of it all, or the traditions, and the beautiful cathedrals and all of those things, all the pomp and circumstance. So I could see her kind of getting them on board with that. But and even if she doesn't feel like she's being used by Satan to do this, I can see how she could easily be under the sway of Satan to get people to fall away, because they're following after whatever other conspiracy she has them following after. I don't know. The situation is simple, but also unnecessarily it's complicated, but it's confusing me. But at the same time, it's like if I stay in my right mind, it's not confusing. It's just this lady's either grieving or grifting. Ooh, I wasn't trying to make it a bar.
Well, that's a good one. Actually, that's a good one. So, believe it or not, what you said, watch this clip here. This is Dr. G. He's actually a professional forensic. And he goes to court. He was trained by intelligence officers. So he did analysis on Candace Owens. It's just his opinion. Okay? Because you cannot give your expertise opinion if you're not operating in that field, right? So this is just his opinion, okay? Which is very interesting. Watch this.
Do you know definitively is that the feds are lying to us. That is obvious. It is abundant. If you're able to think thoughts, you recognize that something is very wrong with the story that has been presented to the public.
So if you watch my other videos, you know I oftentimes talk about body language. And one thing I can say about Candace Owens is she absolutely believes what she's saying. But as a forensic expert and someone who's had experience and things like this, I disagree with her assessment that this seems that strange. If you go through and look at what the FBI has released so far, none of it is outside of what we typically see in these kinds of situations. It all seems pretty standard. We're going to talk more about like the text messages and some of the behaviors from Tyler Robinson, the alleged assassin. We're going to talk about that in a bit. But as far as saying that like anybody that has seen this is going to automatically know that something's wrong, I don't actually believe that that's true. I think a lot of us have experience in this, and a lot of us who work in forensics see this as all pretty standard, actually. Is that the feds are lying to us. That is obvious. It is abundant. If you're able to think thoughts, you recognize that something is very wrong with the story that has been presented to the public. And just to be perfectly clear, I've done numerous videos on the Epstein death, and I've talked about how bad some of the reports were on that. And I'm not saying that you have to just assume that just because the FBI was involved that it was a great case and everything was done right. But I really do think that in this case in particular, we haven't seen any red flags yet. And I think that what the public doesn't understand, and I count myself among the public, is why it seems as though Turning Point USA executives, and I'll say seems, are not even remotely interested in challenging that official narrative. Who are they protecting exactly? I think there's a lot of problems with this logic because...
Just so you know, the executives, that includes Erika Kirk, because she's a CEO of
CEO now, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Executives are not homicide detectives. Somebody like Candace Owens, when she sees something like this, she's going to be trying to figure things out. She's going to go, are there alternative explanations? I want to go through every piece of evidence. I want to figure this out for myself. Most people don't really think like that. She thinks about these things in a way that other people probably don't. So the idea that Turning Point USA is not coming out and making statements that are either supporting what she's saying or saying that there's different kinds of investigations that need to happen does not imply that they're complicit, nor does it suggest that they're protecting somebody. And I think that that can be a really dangerous leap in logic, because then people are going to identify Turning Point USA as somehow the bad guys in this situation, when in all reality, they may just trust law enforcement. In challenging that official narrative. Who are they protecting exactly? You'll see oftentimes they and other influencers will invoke Erika as the reason. I think one of the challenges here, and I can relate to this in other situations, is that when you are so certain about something that you think people are being naive or foolish if they don't see it the same way as you. But I think that the official line that's been provided, that a lot less people are questioning that, and a lot less people see it as strange than she may think. Now, I know there's plenty of viewers, of people that are watching this right now, that probably absolutely do not believe the mainstream narrative of what happened. We have the story that could potentially answer all of those questions. And it certainly makes a lot more sense than the slop that the government is currently trying to feed us. First and foremost, Tyler Robinson has never confessed. They acknowledge that. He has never confessed to this crime, and he still is pleading innocence on the shooting. In fact, I was told that he was, quote unquote, bewildered by the idea that he carved case. There's nothing at all surprising about somebody turning themselves in and then pleading not guilty or then not confessing. We see that all the time. So just because someone surrenders themselves does not mean that you would assume that just because they say they're not guilty actually means that they're not guilty. I have a very hard time following that logic here. Because, for example, something that happened about a week ago, Lorenz Krauss, he confessed on live television to murdering both of his parents. And then got arrested for it, and now he's pleading not guilty. Even after like an hour-long interview of basically explaining in detail what he did and why he did it, he's still pleading not guilty. So the idea that somebody could turn themselves in and still plead not guilty is not shocking. This is not unusual at all. He was, quote unquote, bewildered by the idea that he carved casings. I should be clear, he does not dispute the fact that it is his gun at all. It is his gun. So another thing that's odd about the way that she's talking about him being bewildered by carving the casings, once again, this is exactly what we see when we go to trials. This is exactly what we see when people have committed crimes. And I know he's just alleged at this point. We'll see how the trial treats him. But point being is that the idea that he's going, well, I don't know how this stuff got there. I certainly didn't do it. Of course he says that. Like everybody says that when they've been arrested for crimes like this. So him being bewildered, I don't think is evidence that he is not involved or that he didn't do it. Down his speech and
You know what got me with her? I think his word, that leap in logic, that's the perfect term, leap in logic. Because she went
That's a
from,
good
remember
one.
when we had to take a critical thinking class in college?
Yes.
And they go like A plus B must, yeah. She said that, first of all, she made the claim that Turning Point USA is not
Yes.
challenging the narrative from the FBI or authorities or whatever.
Mm.
First of all, how does she even know if they're not doing that behind the scenes? Even, whatever. But even if they aren't, she's made the assumption that if they're not, or if they don't appear to be, then they are hiding something, or they are who are they protecting? Who are they? Like, wait a minute, who said that? How did we get here? Like, I thought we just said A plus B equals C. You were down at F, girl. What's going on? I don't know. So you gotta watch. You really have to watch or listen to what Candace says, because if you really think about the stuff she says, it really does not make a lot of sense.
Yes.
It's just entertaining. And I think that's partly why my brain starts to hurt watching her after a while, because I'm like, if I keep playing with this girl, and then she's playing the role of a gossip too. We talk about in church, we talk about gossips all the time. And the first thing we think about are people who are, girl, I heard that so-and-so was with so-and-so's baby daddy and husband and da-da-da-da-da. But this is gossip as well. She's now coming up and she's bringing a lot of speculation into the atmosphere. And I love how people are going, Candace is the only one doing this. She's the only one fighting for truth through speculation. Like, there's nothing in scripture that tells us to pursue truth through speculation. You know what I mean? Like, everything. I don't know. That lady make me tired, child. I'm exhausted.
Yeah. So remember, she has millions and millions of followers. So this information is so valuable to people. They want this. I won't be surprised if this guy is going to be the next person Candace Owens is going to suspect. If he's somehow connected to something else, he's going to be the next one. Because anybody who has said otherwise, the next minute he'll be like, oh, he worked for the government.
Yeah.
And the key thing is like, we cannot trust the government.
Turning Point USA event 10 years ago, and at the time, or whatever, and then it becomes a whole thing.
Yes, it'll be connected. So somebody put this clip together. I thought it was excellent. So watch this, guys.
I mean, we're trusting the feds. Like, since when are we doing that? And trusting the feds. Don't question anything. I don't really trust these feds, right? I'm like, no, we don't trust the feds. And since when do we trust the feds? Trust us, we're the feds, bro. We don't trust the feds. I don't trust anybody. I don't trust anything right now. Okay, I trust absolutely nothing. Mia writes, we need truth, and I trust only you right now. Thank you. Aravic writes, you're the only voice I fully trust. Trust me, trust me. Rose writes, no matter what videos I've seen from people on the left or right calling you crazy, I call it fake and gay. You have my full support. Truth is all that matters, and Christ is king. Yeah, here is the thing. People know truth when they hear it, okay? You know truth when you see it. Charlie's neck indeed did stop the bullet, without question, okay? And this is going to dispel a lot of theories that are out there, and I'm telling you this 100%. Charlie Kirk was shot from the front, and the bullet did not exit. Nothing is making sense at all. It has not made sense from the very beginning, okay? And that's because the feds are involved. I'm grateful that you guys trust me to be your voice. They didn't recover a bullet from a 30-06. Just didn't happen. He was shot with a completely different kind of gun, obviously. We can only trust the feds. Tell us what happened, right? We can't trust them at all. I only have a platform because I keep telling the truth, If I had lied, I wouldn't have earned your trust. There's old footage of Tyler Robinson that is now circulating from a car accident that he had. Tyler certainly refers to it as his car, not his vehicle.
And as I get into the intersection, there was a vehicle in the lane.
So I say, just be transparent. I don't trust people that don't just release and speak about everything. There's a lot more information that I wish I could share. There is, of course, a specific reason why I'm asking for that. If you're going to be transparent, be transparent. I think you should let me see that because people trust me. I'm not going to publish it. I just want to see it. I'm not going to publish the footage, but I want to see it with my own two eyes so I can stand on this platform, so I can sit here on this platform and I can say to the world, no funny business happened. Truly, we can all go home. It was Tyler Robinson and he acted alone. And I think the world would trust me. I think the world would trust me.
She's always shaking down people to get information. Like, it's kind of like, okay. Now with the whole Brigitte Macron situation, I hate to go back to it, but let me tell you, it's okay. So remember when she was like, if you're not a man, prove it. And I'm like,
yes.
Who are you? Regardless of how valid the points might be concerning, like if ultimately it's a whole a kibosh of folks trying to, I don't know, trans the kids. I don't know if that, whatever her, I don't even know where her end goal was with that. I think it was something to that effect though. But even if that's the case, she's like demanding people to do things that I think, to be honest with you, I think that she doesn't think they would actually acquiesce to. I don't think I don't think she believes that people have time to truly listen to her, to actually do what she says. So, if someone came to me and go, you say that you're a woman, but I think you're a man. And if you don't prove to me that you're not a man, then you must be a man. And, and it's kind of like people, so it's either people are going to ignore her because they know she's full of madness, or she can get them in her web by shaking them down to, fear public scrutiny or whatnot if they don't bend. So that was one thing I saw, like, who are you? What audacity did someone said it in the thing, like audacity is the word. She has a lot of audacity to demand from people things that they really don't owe her. Nor do they owe the public. Like, I think she made a comment about Erika Kirk and she said like something about like no good wife or no wife who truly cared or something. She said something to that effect about how Erika Kirk,
which widow wouldn't want to find out, like, what happened to her husband.
Yeah. She said
She
something
did say
like that. And
something
I was just
different.
like, oh girl, you need to back up off of that now. Back up now. So I thought that was interesting. But so yeah, this whole situation with show me the footage. I saw that she had gotten some information from someone before, and she said that they agreed to talk to her as long as everything was off the record. And she said that she agreed to it being off the record, but then she shared the information on her platform. So I was just like, what does off the record mean to her? Like, you didn't say their name? Because I was like, I was wondering. I was like, what is off the record? Because she straight put it on the record. Like, yeah, I talked to my friend and he told me not to tell y'all. So I'm gonna let y'all know he told me not to tell y'all. And he said, like, what? So I don't know.
Yeah,
She throws
yes.
me off.
I mean, like, that's kind of, so even in that, right, as far as that's not how you do it, okay? As a journalist, which she calls herself, right? You produce it, okay? You write a piece, this is what you're alleging them, then it's up to those people to come back and refute what you say. You cannot just say like, okay, prove it. Just like in court, right? Like that's why you can keep quiet. You don't you have a right to remain silent. You don't have to incriminate yourself. The person who is accusing you, the onus is on them. This is even like biblical. That's why before you accuse somebody, you're supposed to produce evidence to back up those accusations. So if you're just accusing people, that's slander. So she came out, the same thing, right? Accusing the Macrons, the same thing, right? So now what they've said, they'll be like, you know what? We want to go to court. Excuse me. We want to go to court, and they're going to produce scientific and biological evidence to prove that Bridget Macron is female, and they want trial. They're demanding a jury trial. They've amended. And then Candace was asking for them to dismiss. I said, no. Why are you asking them to dismiss? You told the entire world that you're going to stake your career, and they actually put that issue there. You know what I mean? Like, that thing is public as well. The filing is public. So they actually quoted her, and the pictures there on Twitter. Miss Owens quoted that she actually put her entire career that Bridget Macron is male. So yes, we want to go to court and everything. So yeah,
I think she's like grifting while the grifting is good. Because I'm like, girl, like,
oh no, they're coming for her.
Yeah, at some point this house of cards is gonna fall. But right now she's like, let me just get as much. This is what it's coming across as. Let me say that. Like, let me just get as much. I know people will listen to me. I have millions of followers. I got to make up from lost time from either leaving Daily Wire or whatever the case may be. Because I know she was with Daily Wire, and before that she was with. Was she with PragerU? She was with PragerU.
Yes, she was PragerU, Turning Point.
USA. Yeah. So it's just kind of like, I don't know, like somebody said grifter. But like, and it seems like she might be burning bridges, as she, wherever she goes. So she has nothing to lose. But I'm always curious to know how George is feeling in the background. I'm like, George, you hear this?
Yes, that's what. Yeah, where is George? Especially when it is this anti-Jew, like word on the street is allegedly that George supports those things. It's just like, Okay. But I'm like, you know what? He's an Englishman. I just don't see this issue is something else. But
it's like, but Yeah, I
She
mean, for
means this.
me, my main things with Candace from years ago had mostly been for her claims that she's a believer, and in the way that she was carrying herself either online or in how she followed certain stories and things like that, or how she more so how she kind of carried herself. So that would bother me. And I think the thing that really got me was ultimately when I think she was friends with, who's the guy from oh, what's the guy's name? He's married to a man, and they got adoptive babe.
Oh,
They
Dave
adopted
Rubin.
Dave Rubin, yes.
Mhm.
So that was her bestie, and I remember, people were. I think she bought him like a stroller or a cart, something like
Yes, yes,
that,
she
when
brought
he
him
announced her.
a stroller.
And you know, and I already knew, just seeing her in different interviews and how she talked about her faith, I was like, yeah, I don't know about Christian. I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to, but I don't know if she knows really, really what the gospel is. I really don't. But people were, oh no, she's a believer, da 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 da. But the way she did the situation with Dave Rubin, she's like, oh, I'm not going to go against my friend. And what of the children, when the children are born, they're gonna see people, trashing their parents, and I don't want to be a part of that. And I thought that was so interesting because in the same week she was like going after Kim Kardashian and
Yes,
just,
and then she's friend with Kanye West.
yeah, yeah, she was just going after everybody. And I was like, so you have smoke for everybody else, but when they're your friend and they're clearly living in sin, clearly, because you're talking
Yes.
about Kim because she's a loose woman and how there's immoral women and blah, blah, blah.
Mm.
True. But Dave Rubin is hello. And she's just like, no, that's my friend. But I mean, they're not friends anymore because of the whole Israel situation. But I just thought that was really interesting in how she carried it. So when that integrity is put on, or the lack thereof is put on the front street
Mm.
for me, as someone who's saying that they are a believer, that's what I have to kind of, but I was always kind of skeptical of her anyway with certain things. But she seems like she's going off on the deep end, and
I
I don't
think
think
so
she cares.
too.
I don't think she
I don't
cares.
I don't think she cares at all. Right now she's going all in. The Macron situation, I think, did rattle her because now it's just like, wow. I mean, the lawsuit, everything, they've just put everything for her out there. I think she's sensing she might not win that case. And now Australia, they've banned her. They don't want her.
Yeah, I
I
heard about that.
thought, to me, I'm like, no, it's Australia. Like, I mean, it's their
Yeah,
country. They can do whatever else they want.
yeah,
But it's to them, it's just like, oh no, Candice, with her character, she sued all the way to the highest court in Australia. So even to me, I'm like, okay, Candice, like, is that even necessary?
I know. I'm like,
Like
I
it's not
don't
even
know.
necessary. Like, yeah, people want to come to America, they get refused visas all the time. It's not
Yeah,
the end of the world. So
right.
if they're
Yeah.
refusing you a visa to Australia, so what?
So what?
Why are you
Yeah.
wasting time paying the lawyers? Like, yeah. So it looks like she wanted to
Yeesh.
prove something, but
Lord God. Oh,
that's, yeah, kind of. So now we have she's putting more evidence. Now this is what she's saying. This is what she's tweeting on her vacation. Okay. We all have crowdsourced. It looks like a decision to murder Charlie Kirk in Utah was made around July 18th. A military meeting with foreign leaders took place on July 20th on US soil. The plane flew into Provo direct from France on September 4th and stayed until just after Charlie was assassinated, flying out of Wilmington on that day. The plane returned home to Egypt the following day on September 11th. So, yes, so this is, so at this point, we're going to wait when she comes back on vacation to show us the proof and all those things. What is not in dispute, there are no direct flights from France, from Provo to France. There are no such flights. So maybe this was a special flight that doesn't register, that you cannot find and everything. So we're going to wait to see what Mrs. Farmer is going to tell us.
so who is she still? Who is she? Okay. Now, wait. Okay. Okay. When she first came out with her claims, she was strongly implying that Israel had something to do with it. And when she was called to the carpet about it, she walked it back and said, I never said that
Yes.
Israel had anything to do with it. I never said. So now I'm confused with this piece of information. Who is she saying? Who made the decision? Who on
We don't know. We just know that it was made on American soil.
on American side? I can't get
On
this lady
American soil.
out of here.
So
Get
right
out.
now we don't know. When she comes back, she might produce the receipts. So we just have to wait for now.
I am
Okay.
exhausted.
And
I am
do you know that she also blamed the bee cult? Apparently, there's a like whatever company that does bee, you know what I mean, harvesting bees in Utah.
Mm,
So she found a way to implicate the bee cult society. Yes.
I am concerned now. I am concerned for her mental health at this point. And I don't want to be that person but I am just watching this play out. Like I said at the beginning, I'm like, okay, that's her friend. She's grieving. I guess she wants to get to the bottom of it. But to me, this is my whole thing. Even if that's my bestest of best friends, if I'm truly besties with this person as much as I claim, then I'm going to respect their spouse, because that is ultimately who should be that person's best friend. And
That's
if the
fair.
spouse isn't, what's the word, crashing out like I am, then maybe that's a clue for me to back up. I don't get to go, well, I don't know what her justification is, as far as
No,
how she's
right now,
responding.
Charlie Kirk appeared to her in a dream and told Candace
I saw
that
that. I
he was
saw that.
betrayed. So that information alone, Candace
I
is like, you
saw
know what?
that.
Charlie
I
appeared
saw
to me
that.
in the dream. He told me that he was betrayed. So she's not going to stop until
I
she
saw that.
finds out who it is.
And the way that she made it seem legit
And you
that
can
her
take it to the
dream can
bank.
be
That's what she
trusted
said. Yes.
is because she had her friend of hers or somebody was pregnant or something, and she
Mhm.
said she told the person that they would have a boy, and then the person
Yes.
texts her like, "Girl, I had a boy." How I don't know, but in the South, it's a saying that if you dream about fish or something like that, then somebody's
Uh-huh.
pregnant, right? So it's a little superstition. Dream about fish, somebody's pregnant. If you dream about if a bird flies into your home, then someone's about to die, something like that. So that's the thing.
Mhm.
So she's kind of get this girl. She's gonna get on my nerves. But yeah, so she likes to take those little, like you said, those little small crumbs, or what they gotta say, the leap in logic. And she goes, well, I told a friend years ago or a couple years ago that she would have a baby, that she was pregnant and she would have a boy, and she was pregnant and she had a boy. And so therefore you should trust me with this situation
Oh,
here,
yes,
because
that's exactly what it was.
Charlie said,
Yeah.
I was betrayed. I mean, I would, man, this is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. So
She
that's
probably
also
just
the
write a book. She should write a novel. Just use that
I mean,
creativity.
people buy the book.
I
Like,
will
yeah,
buy it.
people actually
Like, 'cause she's
definitely buy the
entertaining.
book. Yeah,
She's
it
entertaining.
is
Like,
entertaining, to be honest.
she's entertaining. But I'm like, but if anybody as a believer is really looking at this lady like, because I'm telling you, people in the comments like, I trust her more than I trust this person.
Yes.
So I'm like, girl, at the end of the day.
Yes. Yes. So that's Lady Candy. Okay. So here she is with the accusation. Like, yeah, the stuff is gonna be all over the place because she's also all over the place, guys. But all this is in the quest of finding out who killed Charlie. So, but there was the B court, the feds, military,
Israel.
Turning Point, executive, Israel, BB, Josh Hammer. So 7 people that I have counted. And
Now, has
I
she really
guess
said much
Josh
about the
Donald.
producer guy? What's his
Oh,
name? The one who confirmed that the texts were legit. He's taking over Charlie's show. I forget his name, but I guess he was Charlie's the
yeah,
producer, and he works for TPA.
Andrew Kovic. Yeah, there's a clip for
Yes.
him. Yeah. Oh no. Believe it or not, she spoke glowingly of him. The only thing that Candice was not happy was like she wishes he could have he should have come and defended Candice Owens
Before the text
when
came out, kind of. Yeah.
yes, exactly, when everybody else was
Okay.
yes.
This is crazy.
Twitter users pointed out a very strange tweet that Josh Hammer hit send on 16 hours before Charlie Kirk was assassinated. For no apparent reason at all, he retweeted something that President Donald Trump had sent a full 12 years ago about public executions. Here it is. Here is that retweet. Now, what is the justification for this? There might be one. I tried in earnest to at first rationalize it, right? What could have been going on that Josh Hammer decided to dig through the 2013 Twitter archives and retweet someone calling for a public execution? Would we trust if Josh came out and said that tweet was definitely about Irina? Other people pulled Trump tweets. Some pulled that very tweet and called for a public execution. The first time that he tweeted about a public execution was back in 2013. And he said it in reference, in 2022. And he said it in reference to the Boston Marathon bombing terrorist account. The Uvalde shooter. And I can tell you that it is not something that Josh Hammer regularly tweets about. Rather than say what he definitely meant or what he didn't mean, I decided to just create a micro timeline of Josh Hammer's tweets the day before Charlie Kirk's assassination. This is what Josh Hammer tweeted. He tweeted a total of 9 times on September 9th, and you can gather what was going on that day from his tweets. This 3-hour break, maybe this is a 3-hour break where he speaks to Charlie Kirk. And then at 9:09 p.m., again, we're talking Eastern, Josh Hammer tweets in favor of public execution, and there's no context that is provided.
Oh my gosh.
So anybody telling you he for sure meant this, we cannot know that. We cannot know Josh Hammer's thoughts.
So you definitely have to just trust her, because if you do, you can. That's the only way she makes sense, because otherwise.
Yeah, but then the thing is, right? So all the other stuff, like this is what she's saying. So this is shout out to Milkba, okay? So he's just disproving Candace Owens in real time. Like, but here, Josh Hammer tweeted this. Because the stuff you say does not hold any water. And do you think she'll come back and correct the record? No, she doesn't. So now, especially when that tweet talking about the pro-Israel, the guy affirmed it, that was it. You know what I mean? Like, it has given Candace Owens wings, okay? Be like, oh yes, she said this. This was actually true. I just like, no, guys, okay? The dude, right. Yeah, it was, yeah, like, I know. Okay, so this was this is how this guy was vindicated, okay? So we can watch this a little bit, because I have a different take about this guy. So let's see, what is your take, Constance, okay? So here is, this is the guy, Andrew Covey, best friends to Charlie Kirk.
Some of the things that have been going around on public, namely about a group text chain that has been made known and released by Candace Owens. And I just want to address it head on, because, that was a screen grab that I had shared with people. So it is authentic. And I want to go into it because I actually am really excited that the truth is out there. I first want to say the reason I didn't share that screen grab publicly is because it was a private exchange, and I felt like it didn't necessarily comport with things that were already public. I wanted to not betray my friend's trust in that way. But I did share it with some people in government because it happened really quick. It was, it took 33 hours for authorities to get their suspect. And in those first moments, we wanted no stone unturned. We wanted to leave nothing unturned. So I shared it with a few people. Don't know where it went from there, apparently. But here we are. So one of the reasons, Blake, that I'm glad to have this now public, it was not mine to share publicly, but.
Yeah, so go ahead, Constance.
I was always confused. Just to be honest, I was always confused by his explanation there when he said that he had previously shared that same screen grab with the government, because at the time, like shortly within like a day and a half after the murder, they didn't want to leave any stone unturned. And I was confused about why that particular screen grab was relevant.
Yes. Yeah.
Because all they're talking about is losing a Jewish donor. So to me, that would seem pretty obscure or just unrelated. So I was curious about that. I don't know, just to be honest. I saw a lot of people, going off about the fact that he didn't publicly defend Candace in the beginning. I don't know what he said when she first started mentioning that, Charlie's support of Israel was waning. Da 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 da. I don't know if he ever came back and said, no, it wasn't. I don't, because I know, was it the Josh Hammer? Somebody said no, it wasn't,
Yeah.
and they were very emphatic about it. But this particular guy, I don't know if he did or not. But if he had, then yes, that would be an issue. Like if you knew that if you knew about that chat or that text thread, and you came out and publicly said his support of Israel was not waning in the least, then yeah, that's a problem. But if he just simply didn't support what she was saying, because he just didn't want to, I don't know, compromise the privacy of the conversation that he had had before, then I can actually respect that, because again, nobody owes Candace anything, just to be honest. So I don't know if I necessarily would be suspicious of how he handled that. That's just my opinion. I don't think I would be suspicious of that if it's a private thread and it's intended to be private, and you want to respect the privacy of the conversation or the individuals involved in the conversation, and two, the fact that these were whatever, a conversation that Charlie Kirk was having, I can understand that. But I don't know. So I don't know. I don't know. So it's two things. One, I don't necessarily blame him for not coming to her aid when she first made the claim about Charlie's support of Israel, unless he had said no, he had not. It never happened. And then two, but for him, I don't understand the relevance of the text thread as it relates to the investigation into Charlie's murder. Like, why would he provide that particular text thread? Or maybe he's speaking incorrectly and he's actually referring to many text threads. I don't know, but I just don't understand why that particular one is relevant. So yeah, those are my thoughts about it.
Yeah. So he did come out and say that no, Charlie wasn't changing his stance on Israel. He did just say like, okay, he was also on the chat, the private chat they were texting. He was also one of the guys on the private chat as well. He was on there too. So he did say that no, Charlie wasn't changing his views. Okay. This chat here. So he was one of the guys in this chat as well. So his thing was like, Charlie wasn't changing his views. He was frustrated with, whatever, the donor leaving him and some of the stuff of Israel. But at the core, he wasn't leaving. That he did say that publicly. Now, the issue that I had with him was exactly what you said, right? What is it in this tweet that made you to send this tweet to the government officials? Because you didn't want to leave any stone unturned. All the people in this chat, you can identify. It was like there was a rabbi, Charlie's mentor pastor, Rob McCoy, Josh Hammer, and Charlie Kirk, and the Jewish donor. So my thing was like, okay, so what? Are you suspecting that somebody in this thread had something to do with it? That's why you're sending it to the government official. And not only did he stop there, he said he sent it to the government official and a couple people. So if this is private, you want to leave no stone unturned, fine. You send it to the government official, no problem. Sure. But why are you sending it also to the couple people? And then you come back, say you don't know how Candace ended up with his tweet. And he acknowledged it was him. So to be honest, if I was in that group, it's not so hard to do a process of elimination. There were 9 people there, okay? So we know Charlie's going, it cannot be him, okay? Josh Hammer was one of them. It's not him. He's not in dispute. This is his screen grab. So the onus is on you to explain how your screen grab ended up with Candace Owens. To tell us that you don't know how it got to Candace Owens, I'm sorry, you know what I mean? Because the other guys, they can just say like, I never sent it to anybody. So, he was the rat in that in the group chat. So if you didn't send it to the few people you send it to, guess what? Candace wouldn't have had this text message. And the entire claim Candace Owens is standing on this one. Charlie was going to have me, So, and then plus his Andrew Covered is actually a spokesperson for Turning Point USA. Like, I mean, the way to me he spoke, that never instilled confidence. He was like, you're all over the place, just like, you don't know how Candace ended up with it. He was better off to say, you know what, that was my screen grab, my phone was hacked.
Right, it's something.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But to tell
I
me
did
you
notice
said
that too when he said that he
it,
shared it with. I was like, well,
he didn't want
if
to
you share
betray his
something with
friend's
somebody,
trust. Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah. So,
Mhm.
but he's so lucky because everybody was so clapping for Candace. The smoking gun is here. I'm like, guys, I'll be looking at him. Because this issue doesn't say anything about Candace Owens, okay? Yes, Charlie was
Yeah.
thinking about having Candace Owens. Thinking, not I'm going to
Thinking,
have
right.
Candace Owens. I'm planning to
Right.
have Candace Owens, okay? How come
Right.
the next day he didn't make it happen, you know? Be that
Right.
as it may, the issue is Candace Owens ended up having this screen grab. And it was Andrew COVID issue. I'll be pressing on him on that issue. But, you know, everybody was... So now because this happened to be true, anything else, people are just like, oh, you know what, maybe this also could be true.
Exactly.
This also
Right.
could be true. No,
Yeah.
despite all the other
They
information
put a
that she has
battery in her
produced
back.
and debunked, yes.
Mhm.
So, I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
Andrew
Curious
COVID,
case of
crazy.
Candace
Yeah,
Owens.
I know.
I
All
would
right,
just be
so
curious to know when
go ahead.
this case is supposed to end. Like I mean, like I said, it's been a month. So how many more episodes? Has her show returned to other talking points or topics? She used to have like not a grab bag, but she would have like maybe 2 or 3 different topics she would cover in a particular episode. So I'm just, wondering, is
No,
she gonna
right
go
now I
back to
think
that?
this...
This is the
this
main
is
thing,
because
the
this
bread and
is
butter.
she's running is a party investigation with the feds, and it takes time to go to trial. And
And
oh
she's
yeah,
like, let me
man.
cook, let me cook, and let me go on my vacation that y'all just paid for. Thank you. My judge is like, I love you, baby.
Why
So,
not? Why not? Why not? Okay, so
yeah.
this is is that going to show you? Let me do you this. So this is Josh Hammer. So the text that we just showed earlier, that was a day. After this day, this is the last chat that Charlie Kirk had with this Josh Hammer, the one that Candace Owens has accused. Okay, so it says, they were on a Zoom call, and Charlie is the one who actually set it up. So I say, thank you for the help today, guys. Good luck as the campus visit starts. Don't hesitate to let me know, or any of us, how I or we can help. What's your first stop tomorrow, by the way? Honored to be of assistance. And then Charlie Kirk, Utah Valley. Say hi to your Antifa friends. And this was Charlie Kirk. So this was the conversation that happened, the last text between Josh Hammer and Charlie Kirk. And then he went to Utah Valley, and then he died. So his argument was the text message of him saying that he's leaving the pro-Israel. After that, Charlie Kirk had a meeting, and Josh Hammer is Jewish, and there was another rabbi over here. He was communicating with them like, okay, when I go to these campuses, they ask me questions about Israel, so they were, giving him some talking points and everything. So Josh Hammer's defense is like, so if Charlie Kirk had left the pro-Israel, why would he be wanting us to give him some information as it relates to, how to respond to certain questions when he goes on the campus? And Candace Owens is not having it. So my view is this, right? Even if Charlie Kirk was going to leave the pro-Israel situation, right? He didn't leave to make that happen. Everything that's out there publicly, he was rah, Israel.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Did he, on Meghan Kelly, that's when he frustrated. Or some people call me anti-Semite, or, all these other things. Like, yeah, as far as him being frustrated with Israel, it was right there. The letter he wrote to Bibi, it was, these are the things you're doing wrong. This is what you should do, and I'm willing to help. So if he had left eventually, no problem. But to make an argument that, he had left pro-Israel, all the evidence leading up to the day he died, the dude is pro-Israel. So, but Candace Owens is running with issue like, he left pro-Israel and he was going to have me back on. But, Josh Hammer decided to what? To delete Charlie Kirk. Because they didn't want Charlie Kirk to bring Candace Owens, and they were mad with Charlie Kirk for leaving pro-Israel.
That
So
would
they
be a
decided to
very
delete
big,
him.
like, as an individual to make, because ultimately, with all due respect to to her, this ultimately will make his passing about her, right? If someone would off Charlie Kirk because they had issues with his potential decision or his thinking about bringing Candace back, and then even when she says something like, I think she's been making those like comments like, if I die,
Oh yeah, she has a kill switch
you know,
insurance policy. She's giving it to people. Yeah.
yeah. So I just thought that was just interesting. So it's like she's ultimately making it about her, taking a lot of, oh, I don't know. Yeah, if you really think about it, this really does make things a lot about her. And you know, uh, thankfully his children are very young, unfortunately, but also thankfully they're too young to really see what's going on and be following these things. But like, if you're grieving the loss of your loved one and someone is out there just I don't know how Erika is dealing with this. I know if it were me, I would have put some type of gag order in place or something. Like, stop, don't say his name. Stop talking about it, leave him alone. But at the end of the day, again, as a believer, there's so much going on in this world. This is the way I've seen the whole situation with Charlie Kirk's passing. Like I said, from the beginning, I saw, well, on the date that I found out of his passing, or learned of his passing, I know I did not follow him very closely. I was very familiar with him, and so as far as his name was, always in something, but I didn't follow his college tours or his debates to be that involved in knowing some of the things that he would have said that would cause others to feel a certain way. Having had time to go back and look at some of those things, I'm not gonna lie, I can see how there were some people that were like, I don't like it, and there were some things that I didn't like. But with that said, I if we count him as a brother in Christ, and I say this knowing full well that I sincerely believe that Candace Owens has a misunderstanding of the gospel, because you cannot be Protestant and then convert to Catholicism and have a true understanding of the gospel. You just cannot. And I'm not trying to make this a Protestant versus Catholic type of situation, but because there's some off Protestant denominations too. So let's just be clear. So it's not really that the Protestants are the true, but the reality is, if you know there are certain things that the gospel puts in place, then Catholicism definitely does not allow you to walk in step with Christ in that way. So with that said, I do have concerns about her in that area. And so I think it's just so much going on with this lady right now.
Yeah.
I just think I just don't see how someone could be truly, following Christ and then go into Catholicism and behave the way she's been behaving before and after Charlie's passing, whether it's the Brigitte Macron, that whole thing was throwing me off. But I just don't understand this lady. I'm kind of losing my train of thought because there's so much involved with her, and so much of a rabbit trail that you have to go down. But I guess I'll just keep it simple and just know that if we count Charlie Kirk as a brother in Christ, and like I said, I don't think she might or she may not, I don't know. But if you count him as a brother in Christ and you learn of his passing and you truly believe that he died because of his faith, I have some concerns about that claim. Just saying. I don't know if I don't know if I would walk that claim. I don't know if I would defend that claim to the death. I don't know if I would do that. However, if that is someone's belief, then you have to have peace in knowing that he is now with the Lord. You have to have peace in knowing that ultimately, as Christ has promised us, those who desire to live a godly life will be persecuted. And that persecution, in some cases, for some of us, will be unto death.
Yes.
I'm not saying that it excuses someone murdering a believer, whether they were out preaching the gospel or speaking politics. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, if we truly believe that these are the things that surround his passing, one, that he was killed before his faith, and that he was out there just speaking the truth, nothing but the truth. Again, I have some concerns about that claim. But if that is someone's thought and that they truly are a believer in Christ, then this will just upend anything else that Candace is doing. And just from my opinion, yes, justice, we want justice, but I don't know what level of justice she by herself. I know she has her CIA line of
Yes, she
murder,
does. Yes.
but what is it? What is it? Candace Intelligence Agency or something like that?
Yes.
Is that what it is? Okay, I know she has that, and I'm not saying that the government does everything 100% above board or is correct on everything. I'm not saying that, but at the same time, if anybody has the experts in place to really resolve or solve this situation, if they want to, it would be them. And so I just and knowing that we live in a fallen world as a believer, I'm not trying to be that believer that's like, oh well, earth bad, heaven good. Don't do anything, just wait on Jesus to come back. I'm not saying that we just sit on our hands, but what I'm saying is the peace, and I'm not getting a peace from this lady. She's not coming across as someone who is at peace in her faith. And at the end of the day, if she does refer back to her faith, is more so to kind of big up herself. The Lord made me a prophet to you guys. You can trust me. You can,
Yes.
again, Candace Intelligence Agency. Why is it not Christ?
Oh,
Intelligence. You know what I'm saying? Why
nice
you not
Christ
making,
intelligence agents. That'll be
right? Why
nice.
you not making it about
With a
Jesus? Why don't you preach the
C.
gospel on your show? Why don't you, if you're making everything, the whole thing is about Catholicism, and nothing about Christ. And I'm just like, girl. So I'm exhausted. That's why I come in. What's going on? Okay, no, she's not on that. Okay, let me take a break.
No,
I
you're
come
not.
in and out. She's still talking about Charlie. Like like I said, it took me like the first day I was so thrown off. It was so weird. My husband called me at work and was like, "Yeah, he just got shot." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" And I couldn't
Yeah.
react because I happened to be in my boss's office in the moment. And I know that a lot of people I work with are pretty liberal, but I was also at work and I didn't expect that kind of call. I thought he was calling me for something like major and I needed to really take the call. But in any case, I didn't have a reaction at the moment, and then I kind of drove home with it and was just numb. And I tried to watch footage and different people covering it, but I didn't see the actual shooting. I didn't
I
want to
saw
see
the
that.
actual thing. I regret seeing it.
I didn't want to see that because I knew I was like,
Yeah.
I carry stuff. I didn't want to see that.
Yeah.
But I just sat with it because it was such a random, like, Charlie, like, really? Like, is he that bad where is somebody would want to, not that it excuses anybody, but I just never took him as that person. Again, even with the stuff that I would later go back and hear him say, still not to that degree of like, so I was just thrown off. And then just seeing all the people just kind of celebrating and all that is, I think that's what really broke my heart, because I think I immediately went to, he's a believer, if he's professed Christ. And ironically, while I didn't really know much about him as far as his like the whole of his rhetoric or even his theology, ironically, I had to go ahead and just settle on, like, I guess he was a brother in Christ because of something that Candace Owens said some years ago on the Jeff Rogan podcast. I guess Jeff Rogan was mocking Christianity, and she kind of had a moment where she what's the word? Drew back. What is it? What the Lord says? Shrink back. She shrank back a little bit. And she's like, "Well, I don't believe all that," because I think he was like, "You believe that he rose on the third day? He came back alive. He did." And she was like, "I don't believe all that," but Charlie does. And Charlie goes around and he shares that with everybody at TP, or something about TP USA, or her time doing a TP USA. And I thought that was interesting. So the fact that she was kind of like separating herself from him in that area, but she still came back and said, "But yeah, he's a very faithful guy. He believes that, but I don't believe in all that. I don't do that." So that's how I saw it when she did the interview. So that little piece of information that I had, I just went, well, if it's true, if he believes in Christ, being the Son of God and, dying for our sins and rising on the third day, and he has accepted him as his Lord and Savior, then, I don't need to know anything else. It's not my business. It's all done and settled at this point anyway. So I will just accept that the Lord brought him home and he's now with the Lord. And that's the peace. But the hurt came from people celebrating it. It was it just really was like, yo, this was gosh, people are so nasty. So that really tore me up. But And see, I see somebody comment. He in my book, he is a martyr for the faith. Yeah. So I mean, and
Yeah,
I've
like
just resigned to just let people, feel how they feel. I know, like I said, I have my thoughts, and I think that even with our persecution as believers, the world is going to find a reason to take us out. So they may not say it's because of our faith. Even with Jesus, they gosh, what was going on with that? I know that they were trying to get him because he said he was God, but it wasn't quite. Or John the Baptist saying, you shouldn't be sleeping with what was that? Was it the daughter?
Herodias, he married he took his brother's wife.
Took his brother's this way. Okay, so I was like, who was it? But in either case, but I know the world will find a way to kind of get around, that is not truly about our faith in Christ. But in the moment, I think somebody told me, like, yeah, at the very moment that he died, he was preaching the gospel. I was like, he was? I mean, I didn't see the video. So, but of course we came back and realized that wasn't true. But with that being said, the majority of the content that I had seen from Charlie Kirk was political. So I couldn't be comfortable going like, I don't know if I heard him really go hard for Christ in the public sphere like that. Maybe if he was behind the scenes sharing Christ, then I mean that's great, but I didn't see him going hard on every what is it called, debate or whatever. But even still, not saying that someone has to be sharing the gospel in the moment that they died and for that to be a dying for the faith. I just had some issues with the claim that he died for speaking, sharing the truth. And I'm like, a lot of stuff he was saying was his opinion. I mean, it might have been a valid opinion,
Yeah.
but it wasn't like the gospel. So I was like, But with all of that being said, I say this as someone as I'm trying to make a point about, like, you don't necessarily have to agree with everything someone says or does to have compassion about the situation that happened, and have compassion for his family and things like that. So with all of that, I would love to see Candace relax. She has a beautiful family. God has blessed that lady with a beautiful family. And she can travel the world, influence, and I would just pray that as people get the influence that the Lord is giving them, that they would use it for something more worthwhile. But that's just my little opinion. So
No, well said. Absolutely well said. I have never considered Candice as a believer. There has never been any point. You shall know them by their fruits.
Yeah.
So there hasn't been any fruit where I'd be like, I'm doubting. There hasn't been that. One and two, I've never heard Candace Owens sharing the gospel. She has all this platform. There's nothing there. Okay.
Yeah.
She will be like, okay, Jesus is king. And
Right.
you're out here defending Kanye. You're out here defending Andrew Tate. You're even out
Okay.
here just doing even this, the Charlie Kirk, whatsoever. What fruit of spirit is this? Like, why are
Right.
you operating like this?
Yeah.
It's me, 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 me. And if exactly that, if you were a Protestant, what are you doing getting married to somebody who is Catholic and equally yoked? So these are just the basic things you should have known. Clearly, she doesn't know. So this is also the issue that I personally do have with Charlie. It is true that he was going to a Catholic church and he was going there with his family, attending mass. Okay. So like, okay, you are a Protestant. If anything, Charlie knew more compared to Candace. To me, Candace Owen, she's never professed faith.
Never.
So,
Sure.
you know what I mean? So she is operating according to her worldview. Makes sense. But I'm like, okay, so Charlie, why are you going back to Rome? It's just not you
Yeah, I was
attending
thinking about that
mass,
too.
you know?
Yeah, I was like, what's
Yeah.
happening? Yeah.
So it just he says the tradition of the cathedrals and everything.
Yeah,
I'm
he
like,
liked
no.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are the things, right? So that to me, absolutely no. Okay. And yes, I am aware that there's Christians who do say that he was a martyr. The first time I heard it, I was like, like
All right. Yeah.
I wouldn't describe him that he was a
Yeah.
martyr. That I wouldn't describe it.
Yeah.
I don't
That's
see that
true.
in any way, shape, or form. Like,
Yeah.
he did go to this campus. The goal was, it was MAGA. You know what I mean? He went there,
Right.
all those, MAGA hats and everything. There's nothing wrong.
Right.
If this is what you're doing, no problem. Okay.
Right.
But if it was, I give an example, like let's say like Ravi Zacharias, right? Before whatever the scandal, he was going to these universities, apologetics, right? To share Christ. If he had killed during that time before whatever the scandal, then people say, okay, he died, like whatever is the matter. Be like, okay,
Right.
I can understand that,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And the
Yeah.
same thing even with Charlie, just like, okay, so remember, you know what I mean? How does the person get saved, right? Is
Right.
you believing the gospel. You know what I
Right.
mean? You can
Right.
have some of these views that are in contradiction to the scriptures, but the
Right.
minimum of the entrance to
Sure.
heaven
Yeah.
is
That's
just
right.
the gospel, right? So
That's right.
now over there before the maker, he is going to give an account. Why were you going to mass? Why were you doing this, that, and the third,
Right.
right? And
Right.
Candice said that
Yeah.
the wife requested for a priest to come and anoint Charlie Kirk's body, So I'm like, those are the things we cannot just pretend. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm not requesting a priest to come anoint my husband in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
That's just not going to
Right.
happen,
Yeah.
Yeah, but those are the
Yeah.
things I said, whatever happened, right? But if those things, if a believer does those things, you cannot fault people if people are questioning, okay?
Right.
Now, if somebody,
Yeah.
if you tell me, oh, J-Mac, I'm not questioning. I'll be surprised if I don't see him in heaven. You know what I mean? Void
Right.
I'll be surprised if I don't
Right.
see him
Right.
in
Right.
heaven. You know what I'm saying? If I go to heaven, like,
Right.
okay, I don't see Charlie over there. Oh, I'm not surprised. You see what I mean?
Right.
So the
Yeah.
other people, you're going to be
Yeah.
shocked that they are there. And the other people, you're going to be shocked that they're not there. You
They're
know
not
what I mean?
there, right.
So,
Yeah.
so these are the things. But I do know, like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
like,
I mean, just the
truth
fruit,
doesn't change because the person has died.
Yeah, just the
You know?
fruit of everything after he passed, like with, I don't know how the funeral was handled, but I know with the memorial, that was
Oh,
more of
yes.
like a
I mean, like,
a
yeah,
show.
that was
I
something
was out of
else over there.
I was out of town. Not that it mattered because if you're out of town, you can still watch television. But I was busy doing something on that day. But I remember it was on a Sunday, and I was like, "What an interesting time to have this when it's and if the people gathering for it saw him as a Christian, I would be shocked that people would want to attend that on the day that they should be going to service, going to church, worshiping, at their local church or whatever the case may be. And it became more like a show. So I did think that that was interesting. Whereas in contrast, Vody passes away and they had his memorial and it was on a Friday. It just felt like there seemed like there was a little bit more respect and understanding that Sundays are reserved, for the people of God to gather together and worship. And so maybe they felt like they had worship service there from the clips that I saw, because I didn't watch the memorial, but from the clips that I saw and all the politicians that were speaking, I think Marco Rubio, somebody shared the gospel though there that I thought was really, I was like, thank you.
The gospel, they did share the gospel, but it was a mixture
It
of
was
politics and Christianity. So anytime you
and then
mix
when
these things,
and you get JD Vance mixed up for Trump as well, but JD Vance mixed up in there, he's Catholic. And that is, and I've actually had a falling out with a friend, unfortunately, over JD Vance, which is very unfortunate. Because to me, the man is, gosh, I don't know. There's some things about JD Vance that like, but I should know better. It's like the man's fruit is going to be what it is because he's not a believer. But
no, he's not.
But my friend was basically kind of telling me something opposite, and I don't know, in so many words, to basically accuse me of racism for having some of the feelings that I felt about JD Vance. And I'm just like, no, I just think the man doesn't know how to speak to people. When he says the most. Like, one, if you're supposed to be a believer, which I know you're not truly that, but if you claim to be that, your words are not seasoned with salt. But then also you're like the second in charge, or you're vying to be the second in charge, as far as being a leader of the free world, as they say. And you are, telling people to get the heck out of here. Stuff like the way they speak to people is insane to me. And I know it's not, I don't know. It's just the way they talk to people for me. It just bothers me. And I know it sounds ironic for me when people are like, great, truth and fire. But I'm like, I don't think that I've ever been off off the chain. But, if I have, I repent, because I was like, these people, they talk to folks any old kind of way. But you're supposed to be for the people. Like, you're in politics, like the people, like you got to get people on your side, and you are calling women this, and
no, that's not
using
good.
this kind of activity. You're telling people if there's somebody feels a way about Charlie Kirk, then you should call their jobs and get them fired. But then
Yeah,
you
that
learn about
wasn't the
the
way.
guys who
Yeah, freedom of speech. Like
yeah,
it's
like
just,
using the weight
it's
of your
not proper.
that was crazy to me. And he was
Yeah.
on Charlie Kirk's show doing that and using the weight of his office to make that statement. And then yesterday or the day before, we found out about the Telegram chat with
Yeah,
the younger
Telegram, and then he's
folks.
defending that one. Said
Yeah,
they're
he's like,
kids.
these are young
No,
men. You're trying to ruin their
35-year-old is not
lives.
a kid. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I was like,
Yes.
wait a minute,
Yes.
this is not consistent. But I have to. The thing that keeps me
No
sane
enemies to
in
the
the midst of all
right.
this, right?
That's
The
the
thing
that's
that keeps
the
me sane is just
motto.
remembering that this world is fallen and my
Yeah.
enemy is not I'm not fighting a battle, according to the flesh. It's a spiritual battle. I have to keep that in mind. But the things I post on Instagram, as much as people want to make it out to be like me attacking them, I'm trying to stay sane. I'm trying to stay sane and saved. If that will, I know you can't lose your salvation. Stop. Because I know someone's gonna be like, you can't. But I'm trying to actually work out my own salvation, and in the process, I share things online because I know that is going to. My cognitive dissonance is I cannot say one thing and then well, I don't
Yes.
say I cannot. I'm a sinner, but it's hard for me to say one thing and do something different. So
Want to practice what you're
it holds me
preaching.
accountable by making posts to say this is what I believe, and I have to remind myself. And I know that if I ever walk out of step with what I say I believe, the fact that I've made it public, someone will come back and hold me accountable for it. So that's more so like a strategy. It may sound selfish, but it's more so a strategy for me
To be no,
more
that's
so than it
beautiful.
is.
Yeah.
And if it helps anybody along the way, praise God. But I'm like, Lord, this whole Charlie Kirk thing is bothering my soul. So I'm just like, if you saw him as a brother in Christ, know that he's with the Lord and follow him insofar as he followed Christ. And if you saw him as your enemy, you still have to love him. You still have to, you know what I mean? Love your enemies and all that kind of stuff. You still can't seek vengeance. You still can't gloat when your enemy falls. So no matter what side you fall on with this situation, the Bible still, it cuts both ways, right? So it checks all of us to check our, make sure all of our hearts are clean with this situation. So I just feel like, it's very sad, very unfortunate that it happened. But like I said, that the first thing I thought was, well, if he's a believer, he's now with the Lord, that always gives me peace when I learn about a believer passing away. And then it kind of takes away any of that fleshly desire to either seek vengeance or be angry with somebody or whatever the case may be. But with saying all of that, I just do hope that anyone who has felt away with this whole Charlie Kirk thing would just kind of guard their hearts, watch who they're listening to. Because Candace Owens right now is, I do find her to be dangerous. More so,
I mean, to be
because of the influence, the level of influence that she has, and she's so convincing. She's a gorgeous woman, she's gorgeous. Like people may beg to differ, but I think she's a gorgeous woman. So you have someone who looks nice, and then you have them, she's very intelligent is in how she speaks, very knowledgeable of a lot of things, and then she's married to this I don't know what the guy's money is like, whatever, but he's rich, so she has all the things, and so that I can see how someone can easily go, I can listen to her, but she's sounding crazy to me. That's what it's coming across. She's sounding the first couple episodes, I'm like, interesting. Oh, this is, But with the text, when she did that text message thing, and everyone was like, "Oh," and I'm looking like,
that's the same thing that I had. I'm like, the text doesn't support what she's claiming, guys.
This one, maybe it's me. I was like, I do be coming in and out, so maybe I missed something, but I had to log off. So I've been off for about a week with all the foolery. I may see clips here and there, but I have not watched her show pretty much since then. So I don't know what the new.
Yeah, right now, no, she's on break, so there are no shows that she's putting out. No, in fact, there are actually people in the church who are not communicating to their pastor. They're going straight to Candace Owens. So right now, they have found her to be a trusted medium over their pastors. And they say, oh, I don't know why these pastors are preaching, talking about me and Tucker Carlson and Meghan Kelly. I'm like, somebody can talk, like use you guys as an example. Influencers, that people are so focused. Whatever they hear you guys saying, the congregation or people are taking it as the gospel. It shouldn't be. what they say should be measured by the scriptures. So I'm thinking like, wait a minute. So already, you know what I mean? If your church, your congregants are trusting Candace Owens, then I'm like, okay, so what is being preached at that particular church? Because this can be even a reaction to a pastor, like, hey, what's going on? You know,
Right.
why are my people going to those other people? So yeah, but
Right.
there are people who are like, they are definitely trusting Candace Owens. And yeah, like what you said, whenever she says things, it's just like, wow, you just want to believe what she's saying, just like, no. But if you just simple logic and everything, will be like, no, that's not how we arrive to truth. Okay. And even if this is what you're thinking, is this information that you want to put out in public? So yeah, so that's the issue. I did watch some clips at the memorial. Did the gospel go out? Yes, the gospel went out, and we do know God, his sheep are going to hear his voice, right? But it
That's
was
right.
a mixture of what Christianity and politics,
Yeah.
and which
Yeah.
shouldn't be. Okay, either
Right.
is this a memorial for a believer, or is this a memorial for a politician? Are you handling
Right.
it with politics or with this? You know what I mean? Yeah, believers can be politicians, but there is a
Right.
distinction.
Right.
There's got
Right.
there's got to be distinction. So that distinction was absolutely blurred as far as that memorial was concerned. And yeah, because Charlie was more of a big tent. Nothing wrong you having big tent, but the more you have a big tent, the easier it is for you to compromise. I know,
Yeah.
because he was home and dry with the Mormons, home and dry with the Catholics, home and dry with the evangelicals, home and dry with the Jews. And then when you bring all this together, what exactly are they going to worship? Because we don't worship the same thing.
I do
So,
want to acknowledge something in the chat that I think is very
somebody
interesting.
put, okay.
Yeah, but hi Leslie. Thank you for
Leslie?
your
Okay,
comment.
yes.
Yeah, so Leslie
Like
says
quiet
that
music
guy
heard between
shot
speakers.
him. That guy shot him because his biblical beliefs. I guess she's saying because of his biblical beliefs about
Lives
marriage and
about
gender.
marriage and gender that is dying for his faith.
And I can understand that reasoning. My only concern with that, based on the things that I saw with Charlie, as far as what he was known for, I'm not saying that Charlie didn't have a true belief in Christ, because I don't know much about him, so I don't have enough room to say I didn't know much about his fruit. But from the stuff that I did see, that was very evident, was that he was always talking about some type of political talking point. And the reality is that now a lot of things that are basic truths have been hijacked to become political. We know that, like gender ideology and sexuality and things like that. I get that. But who's to say, by that logic, is he was shot? First of all, we don't know why whoever shot him, we don't know why what the specific reason was, what their motive was at this point. I know they had the bullets and the things and all that, but we don't know what was in the person's mind. So I don't know that yet. But so say that was true, that the person shot him about, his beliefs in marriage and gender. Martin Luther King was shot because he believed in Black people having equality in America. And we all know Martin Luther King
Okay.
was
Yeah.
not a Christian. We know this.
But he
Now,
died. That's a
right.
Christian value.
But he
Yeah,
died
you're
with
right.
those, so he died with those beliefs, and he was, as far as the world was concerned, he was a Christian, right?
And by the way, he was a
So
minister of the gospel too.
right. Right. So would we now say that Martin Luther King, and especially with all the podcasts and everybody doing all these exposés on Martin Luther, I don't know why everybody's putting it up as if maybe it's me growing up. We were told these things about Martin Luther King. Well, Martin Luther King. We were told these things about him being a philanderer. So this isn't news to a lot of people, but it seems to be news. Well, it wasn't news to the community I grew up in, but it seems to be news to a lot of people. So I'm like, y'all didn't know that? Y'all didn't know that? But anyway, with that said, to the world, Martin Luther King was considered a Christian, right? He used Christian ethics, if you will, or biblical ethics to push for racial equality. With that said, I still don't know that as a believer, knowing what I know about the Bible, about the gospel, that I would say that Martin Luther King was a martyr for his faith, and he was a preacher, right? or pastor, I don't know what pastor preacher,
Yeah,
but he was in there.
He was a
Yeah,
reverend,
but I still wouldn't consider him a
MLK,
martyr for the faith. He was a martyr for civil rights,
which I
but
agree.
not for the faith. So so that's the only thing I would kind of push back with. I'm not saying you don't have a point in his dying for his faith ultimately. Ultimately, only the Lord knows for sure. But in terms of the things that I knew him for, and I had very limited knowledge, so I can acknowledge that. But that tells me even more, like if he was truly out there punching the gospel publicly is what I'm saying. Publicly and in every situation or in most situations, then we would know him for that as opposed to knowing him for things that could be conflated into making him something wicked. And the thing about us as believers, we're supposed to be blameless so that even when the world does try to make those accusations, and unfortunately Charlie's legacy, unfortunately, this is just a statement of fact at this point, there's too much information or too many things out there that he said or how he carried certain things that can give the other side justification for how they feel or what they're saying. And I'm not saying what they're saying is justifiable, but or before the Lord, I mean, but you want to be blameless. So if someone says that you were a thief and you're above board and you're avoiding the appearance of evil and all of that, then they're just left with false accusations. But there's some things that people have said about, I don't know if I would go so far as like, oh, he was a racist and Hitler and all the crazy stuff that people were saying about him. I wouldn't go that far, but he did come across as a meddler. He did come across as an instigator. He did come across as a little messy boots. That's what I saw. And so even if as a believer, you're coming in and you're trying to tell someone the truth and you decide to go into college campuses or go into other houses of worship even to try to tell people that what they believe, what they're saying is wrong or how they're thinking is wrong. Now you're coming into my space and you're trying to tell, you know what I mean? You're coming into my house or my domain and trying to ruffle my feathers, whether or not you have a point, but I just don't know if that's necessarily the way we're supposed to be going about it. But hey, it's up for the conversation. I'm fine with it. But yeah, I thank you, Leslie. Let's say she's watched a lot of campus
Campus
talk.
So I think,
and that's the point I'm saying. I'm just like,
it
you
is
have
true.
to follow him close. My point is, you have to follow him. If that is truly what you've seen, you would have to follow him closely. My point is, the Lord, just the character of God. If someone is out there and it is their MO to always be representing Christ, then that'll be known to people who follow him,
and even
with
of people who don't
vigor, and
follow him,
who
people
didn't.
would just know, like,
Yeah.
this preacher person,
Exactly. You would know, but
Yes.
I got politics. Same with Allie Beth Stuckey, just being real. I get politics from her.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying she's not a believer. I'm just saying that what I know her for, as far as what she goes hard for on a regular, is politics. And then there's some Christianity in there to support that, as opposed to I'm a Christian and you're going to hear this gospel, hear this. And I, maybe in recent, maybe months, year, she's probably swapped that a little bit. I don't know. I haven't followed her in about maybe 2 years, but I definitely saw that a lot from her. So I just that's partly one of the things that had me get off social media, because I started to see people in the space that I was in as well starting to turn more into politics and political pawns than they were, co-laborers of Christ. And seeing people like Joel Webbin like just flip out and turn it to something totally different. That type of stuff is scary to me. So if you want to believe and that's what you hold to, that the person died for their faith, that's fine. I'm just telling you what I'm seeing and what a lot of other people are saying that they saw. And if you're saying that you are this person and this is what you represent, that should be dripping off of you, whether
should just be
someone follows you.
obvious.
It should be very obvious, and you shouldn't have to go search. People have to pull up clips and go, "Oh, he did this interview 10 years ago, and then 6 minutes and 3 seconds in, he shares the gospel." And it's some video we never seen before. It's like, wait, what? That's fine. That's fine. The gospel was shared, but I'll put it this way. People can't support me saying what I say about Lecrae, for example, because Lecrae, he swear up and down that he shared the gospel behind the scenes all the time. I share the gospel. I share the gospel behind. What about behind the scenes? What about behind the scenes? That's fine. But you
Yes.
said that you were going out into the world to reach people with the gospel. So that should be very
And they
evident
reached him.
everywhere, right? That should be very evident. So I can't in one breath be like, I don't know, Craig doing some, no, and then on the other be like, well, Charlie, he get a pass. Because no, like if you say you stand for this, you should stand for it everywhere. It shouldn't only be behind the scenes. That's as a Christian, one of the things we got to do is get baptized and publicly profess our faith. I got baptized behind the scenes. I profess my faith behind the scenes. Like that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, like, this is the issue. Like, as Christians, right? The truth doesn't change because somebody has died. Okay. Remember, our deeds of this, we're going with them, so to speak, right? And God is we're going to give an account of those things. So I am not of the issue whereby we want to excuse things that are actually clear in the scriptures, guys. Okay. You cannot tell me if that was, I don't know who I can give. I don't want to give MacArthur to be an extra. I don't know. Like, let's just say Jeff Debin for some reason. That's the one that came to my mind. He dies. And then you hear that he was taking his family. They were going to mass. They were going to do these things. You know that's going to be an issue, so to speak. I'm not saying that's not unpardonable sin. You know what I mean? Like, no, you can always repent of those things. But those things cannot just be overlooked. Somebody with this or of this stature, this publicly. And when he went to this university, whatever, they were not, it wasn't chapter and verse, okay? They were talking about the cultural things. Somebody can be a conservative and not be a Christian, okay? So it could have been, Candace is a conservative. Let's just say that was Candace speaking, right? And then somebody ended up killing her, right? She's there, she's conservative. Are we going to conclude that, okay, you know what? She died professing her faith because she promotes, you see what I'm saying? You're going to say, no, she died as a conservative. Exactly, yeah. So what is this? Why are we?
Sorry.
So so like, to me, I feel like, okay, because he was saying things that are undergirded by a biblical worldview, which atheists do, by the way, which conservative do. You can be a conservative and not a Christian, but you cannot be a Christian and not a conservative. So if you die with your conservative values, just you dying with your conservative values, you know what I mean? Like, somebody dying as a martyr, they are actually dying as a martyr. Like, you see how they're beheading these Egyptians, like, Christians, they literally they are coming to their church and literally beheading them because they're Christians. They're not even saying anything. Maybe you never even heard them saying all those things, right? Be like, okay, yes, they're being martyred for their faith. So that young man just disliked what Charlie Kirk was doing and denounced that young man. Oh, this is what actually the Bible teaches. This is from a biblical worldview. It was just like, I'm deleting you because I don't like you. So now, like, when he goes to court and say that, oh, I did that because I didn't like him, are people going to change their mind? Like, oh, okay, he wasn't a martyr because the shooter confessed for deleting him because he didn't like him. Is that going to change? You see what I'm saying, right? Yeah, but those people who are big beheaded by Christians, and even if the person comes like, oh, I was just doing my duties, like, no, you killed this person in this manner. So so to me, like, even if you say that the guy wasn't a martyr, it does not mean that the person wasn't a Christian. You see?
That's
like,
too.
So, like, okay, he wasn't a martyr. I'm not denying that the guy was a Christian. I'm just denying that description of him and his manner of death. I'm not kicking him out of the kingdom, I'm not kicking him out of the kingdom.
Good.
So that's my position, so to speak. But I have kicked Joe Ebon out of the kingdom.
Oh, he out.
Joe is out. He's a wolf.
That
in
man
sheep's
is
clothing. And he's hindering so many people to come to Christ.
Brian,
he's a tool of the devil.
I find their
and
names
if that one
hilarious.
gets, if something like that happened to Joe Ebon, and I don't want to hear people to be saying, oh, that was a mad. I'm not saying that should happen to him, but I'm giving him as an example. You know what I mean? No way I'll be saying the mad.
I just find I'm weird. I look at people's names and I think about like what their names, how their names match their personality. And I'm thinking about
Oh,
Joel webbing, like this web of like
or the web of
listen to him talk. He just always
he's quoting people. He's
yeah,
quoting people in his web, sending them to
yes.
hell
And
right
then
now.
the
Oh
guy,
man, what a tool of a devil
Brian
that guy
Suave,
is.
he's nothing, he's nowhere near because Suave,
Uh,
I'm studying Spanish right now, so I'm learning. But I think Suave means soft or something like that.
oh, okay.
And
Oh, those
Brian is
guys.
not, he's not the most recent video I saw of him talking about black people should be stoned because of black culture. Like if civil magistrates put laws in place to bring back stoning, it could get rid of a lot of crime and ghetto culture because the sins of the something. That was wild to me. And I already know Eric Kahn. I mean Kahn, man, you know.
Oh,
So
yeah,
I was
con
like,
man.
these
Okay,
names,
you're
these
making good
names,
connections. I like this
these
conspiracy
names
right
was
here.
cracking me up. I was like, what is going on? But that's just my own little, I'm weird. But yeah, these guys are there's that. But this is the type of stuff that I was concerned about, a couple years ago. And I was like, I need to take a step back because I can really see how easy it would be to be tempted
Yeah.
to do that. Because I know my platform is relatively small compared to a lot of the people who, when I first got into this world, they were starting their platforms around the same time as well, and they've gone on to do all the things. And
Mhm.
I've always been afraid to do all the things because I don't want to lose sight of what I said that I was gonna do. And I'm just, I'm just scared, so I'm just looking at people like how Peter, like if Peter can deny Jesus and he walked with them. So I'm looking at those kinds of things like, oh man, oh Lord, I could see myself fall into that web. No pun intended, but I can see myself fall into that trap, that stumbling block. So let me take a break. Let me step back. Da, 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 da. But it's really tricky, especially when money is involved.
Oh
When you're bread
yeah.
and butter and you become doing this, you start to do this thing full time. Now,
Yeah.
a worker is worth his wages. So I'm not saying that believers, even Christian content creators, shouldn't get paid for their labor. But I would just pray that labor sincerely be for the glory of God, and that
Amen.
the lucre never becomes something that is guiding the content. So because you always, that's another thing too, you always got to produce, and you kind of get tempted to just put any old thing out there because you got to get the content out, and it's like,
Yes.
and so that's something that I was starting to observe, and it wasn't from a judgmental like, ooh, they're doing this, but more so like, oh my gosh, if they can do that, I can end up doing that too. And I can fall into that. Oh my gosh, I don't want to do that. I don't want, so it's more so that, I don't know. I just be getting scared. So
No, it's
I'm cool with,
good.
being on I don't know. I'm cool with being small and all that as long, like, but I'm not saying that being small is the answer to not fall into temptation for sin. I'm just saying for me, just knowing that, I do like to write. I do like to share my thoughts about things. I do enjoy that. And oh my gosh, what a blessing to be able to get paid, a decent wage or whatever to do it. And then after a while, you start to, especially with a background in marketing, I can see myself getting into all kinds of trouble. So I'm like, let me just chill. But I just pray, y'all. Yeah, just watch who you follow. Make
Yes.
sure they're following Christ. Make sure you're following Christ. Make sure you're testing every spirit. Please stop saving people because they're against abortion or because they believe in, only men and women. Like those are the fundamentals. I think Paul talks about that in Colossians when he talks about, people get deceived by the folks who are preaching the basics. Because it's like, it's so obvious. Like, but it seems like they're saying something wise in these day and times because people are denying the truth. But it's like just saying that, because that's how what's that guy's name, Michael Todd, that's how he started off. And I was like, I don't like him. I was telling people like 5-6 years ago, this guy is maybe even about 8 years ago, it was a while ago, and I was like, he's a problem
Constance,
because
before you even finish, I tell you what, I Mike Todd was on Hadley Initiated. Okay, he was being interviewed there. I listened
we
to
need
it
everybody on that
from
podcast.
start to finish. But I tell you, I was like, where is this Mike Todd on a Sunday when he's worshiping? From start to finish. Not only did he quote the scriptures in context, no lies were detected the entire interview. If anything, the people interviewing them, they were the ones who were very questionable. I'm like, So you know,
So you
but you
know.
just
You
decide to
know.
mislead people. Like,
Yeah.
what is
You
going
know.
on? Yeah, I was
Yeah.
shocked. I'm like, because
Yeah.
I'm listening. I'm like, you know what? Mike Todd is gonna say something over it. No, there was
Crazy.
nothing there.
You know. Yeah. But that's how
So
he
yeah,
started
they
off. He
can
started off
deceive
saying,
you. Yeah, it's not
yeah, he
like he has
started off
changed
saying
anything,
very
but
like,
or to say that they can say
relationship.
good things and then
Mm-hmm. What's his
yeah.
name did that too? What's that guy's name? Who wrote the book, The Purpose Driven Life?
Oh,
Forget his
Rick
name.
Warren.
Yeah, Rick Warren. He
Mm.
did that too. He was on a show. I think John Piper interviewed him some years ago, and Rick Warren was sounding solid in a mug on that show. I was like, hold on now. I don't know what to believe anymore. But I realized, like, oh, so y'all, so that's what the word Second Peter talks about, that like you denying, you know the truth, you know better. That makes it even worse if you were just like ignorant of it, but you truly do, but you're denying the master who bought you. So you
Yes.
damn double time, because you know better and you're not doing, like, bruh.
Yes.
So if I saw someone do that, I would be afraid for them. I'm afraid for Mike Todd, because yeah, he started off preaching about relationships, like, yeah, a man should be with a wife, and everybody's like, what's the problem? But I was like, no, because there were other things that he was doing that was placing, like, marriage and stuff above the gospel. Like, he was doing something else with it, and I was like, no, he ain't right. No, wait, what's the problem? It's like, nah, yeah, it's true that people should get married and not have sex outside of marriage. That's true. But he's putting something else in there that doesn't belong. And I kept saying that. And then he just, over the years, he just got worse. The same thing with Joel Webb. And like,
Oh
I
no,
hear
Weber.
what you're saying. Like, yeah, I shouldn't have to take the vaccine, without, consenting to it, or I don't want it, whatever the case. I think because I was on his podcast years ago, and we were both, just complaining about the vaccine mandates and stuff like that. But I know during the podcast, he made a point about, like, breaking the law, something about getting a fake vaccine card or something like that. He said, would you do that? I was like, no, I'm cool. I don't need to do all that. Like, I just trust the Lord. The Lord got me. Like, I'm gonna say no, and that's it. And he was like, I think if you lie for the sake of the truth, then that's okay. And I was like, I don't know about this guy. But I'd already done the podcast at that point. But then I was like, I don't know about that one. And then he just started getting worse and worse and worse and worse.
Oh,
and I was like,
yeah. But no,
this
nah.
guy,
That
yeah,
one
he
needs to
just,
repent and believe the gospel. He's
well,
out
he
of
is
the
off
kingdom right now.
insane.
Yeah.
And everything is race, and I can see where they can go. We're just going off on a tangent, but I just noticed, though, I was thinking the other day about his whole situation about women losing the right to vote, because they vote mostly Democrat or progressive or whatever. I can see him next saying that Black people should lose the right to vote, because if that's your logic, and that's what he's been on, like, oh, Black folks this, Black folks that.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
I wouldn't
this
be
man.
surprised.
But I do think, in the wake of the whole Charlie Kirk, I told my husband this. I said, well, here we go. We're about to get a Christian nation. Because the way that the right responded, I was like, I can see, yeah, we're about to get a Christian nation. And I say that
a Christian nation without Christ.
Exactly. I was gonna say, I said it in the sense of, it's not gonna be a biblical, iteration of Christianity. It's gonna be whatever the Charlie Kirk Memorial is gonna be that.
Yeah.
And some Joel Webb stuff mixed in, and some Brian's. It's going to be some of that stuff. And I don't want to say I made peace with it in the sense that I agree with it. I've come to understand that I think that's the direction that America is going in, at least for a time. I'm going to always speak against it, but I need to not be surprised when it happens, because I think the thought of it was just bothering, like, but it's gonna happen. A lot of us gonna be persecuted under that type of government, because it won't be biblical Christianity. And I think, honestly, it was his Honest Youth Pastor is his name. He mentioned that he discerned that there were going to be two threats to Christianity: the liberal something, and then the cultural Christianity thing. But I'm not phrasing it the way he said it, but that's basically what he was saying. And I like that comment of that post so many times. So I was like, that's exactly what we're dealing with. We're going to be dealing with the super liberal hive mind wokeness, whatever, if you will, stuff that we definitely were dealing with during the what's the guy's name? I forgot his name already. He's only been the president we just had, Joe Biden. So
How can you forget Biden, Uncle Joe? Uncle
under
Joe.
his presidency, and then the whole situation with Trump. And then they're talking about getting JD Vance in there. I was like, well, JD Vance gonna be way worse.
I think
Way
so too.
worse
I think
than
so
Trump.
too. Yes, yes, I
So
think so too. Yes.
but now that
Yeah.
this whole situation with Charlie has happened, and seeing how people are justifying a lot, and hearing people like Megyn Kelly and the way she speaks, and people play this game online with me and go, oh, well, I don't get my theology from Megyn Kelly. I don't. Well, you get your news from her. You said she was a good
Exactly.
lady. You said you
Yeah.
listened to her. So if you're ingesting this stuff every day, you are getting your theology from Megyn Kelly. So
Yeah.
if she's telling you that we have to now be merciless to the other side, and they're beasts and they can't be reasoned with, and this is the rhetoric that's coming out now. So now we're not
Yeah.
going to be loving our neighbor and engaging our enemies or opponents with grace, or seasoning our speech with salt, and we're not going to be doing that because they're the enemy and we got to take
Yes.
them down or take them out.
Yes.
And those are the kinds of things I'm concerned about when we become too politically focused. I'm not saying that there aren't political issues that aren't valid for us to speak out against or speak up for, but when we start dealing with the other side, as if that's not who we're supposed to be witnessing to.
Evangelizing too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the part
Like
that
seeing them as a mission field, so to speak.
yeah.
Yeah, but you're
Yeah.
demonizing them. So who are you going to share the gospel with? You're just gonna
Right.
be in a, you know what I mean, in your own
Bubble.
camp.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a mission field. Like, you want to engage,
Mhm.
with the
Mm.
truth. But yeah, no, that's
Mhm.
actually a very good point that you bring up. Yeah, and those are the things that I'm saying, But even I see, it looks like even Charlie's passing, it almost like it's just invigorated people. Be like, okay, you know what? Now it's like, oh, the gloves are off. Because I'm seeing
Yep.
even the Christians, their terminology, I heard something about Alyssa Chowders, what she was saying. I'm like, oh, okay, So it's just like, okay, what exactly is happening? So it's almost like Charlie has become a catalyst of people
Yes.
wanting to do things differently. But
Mhm.
are you wanting to do things differently according to the scripture? Semper
Mhm.
reformanda, always back to the scriptures, okay?
Mhm. That's
Always
right.
back to the scriptures, but not because like, you know what? Now I'm waiting, I'm going to start be doing this because
Mhm.
of Charlie.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah, I thought that was
okay,
I
Yeah. So to
that's
me,
what
that's
how can you
yes, yeah. So
he
that's
wasn't a
the
martyr,
issue.
but my friend who's an atheist said he hadn't opened the Bible in 5 years, and he went to church for the first time Sunday. I'm like, Cookie? I mean, because
Yeah.
did he get the gospel when he went to church? Because all this other stuff I don't really is not. I don't know why people are sharing this stuff like it's supposed to be like, oh well, you know what? I'm gonna shut up then.
Yeah,
Like
no, they
what?
said like, oh, it was a revival, revival. I'm like,
Yeah, like
no, you
okay,
cannot have
because
a
of Charlie
revival
Kirk.
without repentance. Just all the terminology is out of the window. So any objection, it's not going to be
Yeah.
received well. But I'm like, no, you cannot have revival unless you have repentance. You can have ecumenicanism and thinking you've brought people the feet of Christ. That's not how the gospel works. That's not
That's
how
right.
Christ works. And
Mhm.
oh yeah, but the gospel is preached. I'm not denying that. Okay,
Right.
but we're not gonna give an excuse
Mhm.
of what the
Right.
precedent is already there. So we
Right.
shouldn't be growing, like intentionally pursuing a crooked stick because God can make a straight line with that issue.
Amen.
That's
That's
not
it
up
right
to
there. I
us,
love
right?
that.
Yeah. For us,
Yeah.
we have to be like, no, this is how God has
Mhm.
ordained things to be, and these are the things that we're going to do. We're not making
Amen.
excuses or caveats simply because it's on our side. To me,
Mhm.
and like when
Yeah.
evangelicals want to compromise, man, they go wild. The other
Mhm.
side, don't forget, they're operating according to their worldview. But you
Right.
know better. You know the
It's
truth.
supposed
So
to be.
why
Yeah.
excusing? Now the
That's
issue is these people are clapping. I mean, Mike Driscoll has made a comeback. Who knew?
I heard about that.
Mark
I heard
Driscoll
he's
is
supposed to be
back
doing
right
a
now.
conference or
Okay,
something.
he's
I was
going to
like,
share a stage with Doug Wilson, Megan Basham, everybody. Rah, rah, rah,
yeah,
Mark Driscoll.
yeah.
I'm like, I mean, we all know Mark Driscoll, okay? And then they're giving outrage of there's gonna be a reunion, Al Mola, Duncan, and at Shepherd's conference. I'm like, you guys please just shut up. If
Ooh.
you're welcoming Mark Driscoll, you have an issue with these guys going to Shepherd's conference. Like, I'm confused.
Right.
I'm
Right.
confused. You're out here carrying water for Joe Webord. I'm confused. So no, I'm not. Just keep quiet, please. Okay. If you're going to be
Oh,
denouncing these guys, start with Webborn and start with Driscoll. Until
for
then,
sure.
No, thank you. I wish I
I don't
was a
want to
man.
hear
I'll
it
be
from you.
attending the Shepherd's Conference.
I didn't think about that. Like, what
Yeah.
is the Shepherd's Conference going to look like now that
Yeah,
John MacArthur
yeah,
is
I mean,
passed?
obviously it's gonna be
Yeah.
different, but yeah, so
Ooh.
now it's like a reunion. So like, yeah, you have Mark Dever, Al Mohler, Lincoln Duncan, John Piper. Ooh, these are
That's a
the
lot.
the four horsemen, I guess
Yes.
so yeah, it's gonna be
Yeah.
interesting. Oh
Well,
my gosh. Ooh,
we could talk all day about this.
I know
Thanks
we
for
can
hanging in here,
definitely talk
guys.
all day. Guys, I know. Yes, but you guys are troopers out here. Okay, Sonia.
Yeah.
Okay, surprise, surprise. Good to see you. Leslie, always nice seeing you. Okay, yes, we can definitely be here all day. Iron Time,
Mhm.
thank you for being here. Okay, all right. I already put, guys, please follow Truth and Fire. I put all the links already in the description and I posted them over here, okay? So, all right, here you go. Your last words, lady.
I would just say, yeah, just follow Christ. Follow Christ. If there's any influencer, public speaker, politician that you admire, follow them insofar as much as they follow Christ. That's it. Anything that they do that is out of step with the gospel, you got to step off as well. Like, do not, please, guys, please stop making everybody a saint because they share one similar thing that you share about your faith, right? Because we're at a point where the enemy is working overtime to dismantle the truth. And I get it that is few and far between to hear an average person acknowledge basic truths like there's only two genders. But just because someone says there's only two genders, don't just get to, no. There's a lot more to God's word that you want to be testing people against. So please be sure to do that. But yeah, that would be my main thing. And I can't make any promises about upcoming content because it's been busy. I've been busy. So I'm
We
a
need
write when I
content,
write.
lady. All
I'll
this
write
stuff
when I
that's
write.
happening.
I'll write when I write. And I know there's so much going on. It's hard to keep up with like, oh, I'm gonna write about this. Oh, I'm gonna write about that. I'm gonna write about that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna write when I write, but there are a lot of posts, guys. I have 10 years worth of content that's just sitting there. And one thing I've realized is that a lot of my content I didn't realize how evergreen it was, but there's a lot of things that
Yeah, I
I've
mean, like
been
all
pulling
this
back.
stuff.
Yeah,
Exactly. You
a
know what I
lot of
mean?
things
Like,
that are relevant to what's
mhm.
going on right now. So just,
Yes.
check it out. Look up somebody's
Yes.
name. I'm sure there's a post about them. It's all good.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I was saying. I'm like, wow, all this stuff, you wrote a while back, and yeah, man, they just keep doing. I wish I could write. I wish I was a writer, because I can think, I can see things, but I cannot translate that into writing. So yeah, that was good. Yeah, that was good. So I'm like, we saw it. I'm like, Joe Webber, and I'm like, this guy, no. And now he is. I said he's gonna be the next Mark Driscoll. Now,
There it is.
yeah, I think he
Boom.
must have had even Driscoll on the show. Yeah, the
Calling
crazy
me
world we
Timu
live in
Matt
now.
Walsh. I'm sorry.
Oh, ish. Man.
I'm sorry. Well, when I see that, I'm sorry, it does make me chuckle. I feel bad, but they're like the Timu Matt Walsh speaks again. I'm like, stop it. Leave him alone. Leave him alone.
Oh man! All right. I'm so glad that we're able to do this. Okay, look, we don't even stop talking, so this is good. Okay, we should do this often because you don't want to write, so then you're just gonna do the talking. So you need to come
Yeah,
here and just do the talking here until you're ready to be writing. That's it.
yeah.
You always have an open invitation here, so you already know
I
that. Okay, but I'm so glad that we made this happen. Hopefully, we'll do this soon. When I mean soon, I mean like soon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I mean so then
Sounds good. I'm with it.
Oh, we need to be serious. Okay, guy, we're serious. All right, my friend. It was nice having you. I always appreciate you.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you
me.
so much.
Thank you.
All right, guys. We had a good time. We always have a good time when Constance is here, guys. Okay, so be sure to follow her. Take a look at her articles, leave a comment over there, and then share those articles worldwide because it's some good information there. Okay, so we have to leave it there. I do appreciate you guys. Don't forget to like this stream, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Double check. YouTube does a page every now and then. Okay, so follow me Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter Until next time, guys, remember, theology matters. Thank you.